And I see your true colors shining through. I see your true colors, and that's why I love you. So don't be afraid to let them show your true colors.
Spectacular sport, made more spectacular. This is Sky Plus in high definition. Sky, believe in better.
Tomorrow, live darts, World Grand Prix at 6 on Sky Sports 1. Live NFL, Minnesota at New Orleans 1:30, also Sky Sports 1. And live Speedway, Lakeside Pool 7:30, Sky Sports 2.
This is Sky Sports Live.
A1GP has had a facelift, so no wonder it's been in hiding a little while longer than expected. Today, though, the waiting is over as the series reveals for the first time a whole new look.
Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me. And I'm feeling feeling good.
Welcome to Circuit Park Zandvoort in Holland for A1GP's first race weekend of the new season. Today, it's race day. A1GP is back, albeit with a smaller grid than anticipated in Holland for race day 1. Joining me on the phone from Zandvoort is A1GP chairman Tony Texera. Tony, given the problems A1GP's had pre-season with car build delays, how pleased are you to see things up and running this weekend?
Well, obviously very pleased and also very proud of the guys for putting everything together. From the time we started, Georgie, it was always a very tall order. In other words, championships like F1 take a year to develop and build 2 cars. We basically tried to build 35 cars in 6 months. It was always going to be difficult, but we've achieved almost 80%, and I think it's a great job by everybody, especially Ferrari, what they've done for us. And obviously seeing the results, it's all been worth it, and we're looking forward to the series.
Tony, several teams will be missing out this weekend. Are you confident that you've done all that you can to appease them with the revised point system that you've put in place, which means that all teams can, in fact, drop a meeting now?
Correct. Every single team will be accommodated fairly and squarely. In other words, they'll all have the chance to win the World Cup. Everyone has agreed. Each team has been very, very helpful in understanding in what's happened. I mean, guys have helped each other with cars and parts and build and so on to get them on the grid. And I think, the entire spirit of A1GP as a family has come through in this specific meeting or this specific event, where it's just proven that there's no animosity and everyone basically will do what's right for the series and for the fans.
You say that you're 80% there. 5 weeks to go till Chengdu. Are you confident there'll be a full grid by then?
There will definitely be a full grid, plus all the spare cars that we set out to build. And quite honestly, if we had another 2 weeks, we would have had a full grid. But time permitted, time was the issue in terms of components and so on.
OK, well, let's talk about this new car then. It is powered by Ferrari. What's your feedback been from teams and drivers in Zandvoort who've had a taste of it now?
Well, Georgie, my technical knowledge, as you know, is very limited, so I am the wrong guy. But what I can tell you, what the feedback is, we definitely have the best car in the world in terms of 1 make series, and we definitely have what drivers say the second best car to any other F1 car, obviously. We're not competing at that level. It's obviously important to us to give our guys and the nations around the world the best equipment to compete for their nations. And I think that we've achieved that. I mean, from the start, we set out to design and build a good car. It's a completely new car, completely new technology. That's what actually caught us. It wasn't as simple as putting something that was existing together. A lot of components to make up this car, the latest technology. And I mean, the technical guys and the drivers are over the moon. They're so excited. Many drivers down pit lane are saying it's the best car they've ever driven in their lives.
Now, tell me a little bit about Team USA, because they've put together an exciting driver package, haven't they? How pleased are you to have the likes of Michael Andretti involved this season?
Well, I'm obviously very excited, and it's something to the series that someone like Michael Andretti, their family that's been in racing for 60 years, what they are in the States, and obviously what they are to the world of motor racing, to put together Danny Kirkpatrick, to bring in Mark Andretti, for them to commit to A1GP and to say that this is one of the best series they've seen, and they want to compete and they want to represent USA. It means they bring in the dream team to compete against the world. And obviously from today, as you see, they are competing, but from Chengdu, when they have Danica in the car, it's really going to be exciting, and it makes USA look at us and take note of A1GP.
Tony, best of luck for the rest of the season. Enjoy today as well, and let's hope the weather clears up in Zandvoort. Thanks very much for speaking to us.
Thank you, Georgie. Thank you very much.
Because at the moment, it's pretty miserable. Plenty of changes to the series for the new season, not least the new car. To discuss them all, motorsport expert Tony Jardine and A1GP test driver Johnny Kane. Tony, not an ideal start, but are the organisers right just to get things up and running in Zandvoort, despite the fact that not all the teams can be there?
I think the decision is absolutely correct, simply because they're equalising everything. They're giving people opportunities. The fact that China didn't run, Brazil didn't run, and we know that they were given a little bit extra time this morning. I'm sure that those championships, World Cup holders like Germany and GBR, who haven't got their cars yet, they'll get some extra testing time so they can get on a level before they get to China with the other competitors. So I'm quite happy that it's fair play.
Johnny, given the likes of Germany, GBR not featuring this weekend, how big a chance is that for the other teams to make an immediate impact?
Well, obviously, some of the teams are everybody's going to be able to drop one round, but still, people that are at this event have an advantage, because if they have a bad race later in the season and they've had a good race here this weekend, then they can drop that one. Unfortunately, for those who don't make it this weekend, they're going to have to drop a round at some point, and if they have one bad result, it'll make a big difference to them.
How disappointing is it not to see GBR here this weekend, Tony?
Immensely disappointing for the fans, for us, for the drivers, for the team, and I do think there is a slight disadvantage in as much as that more you get to work with a new car, as Johnny knows, and he spent a lot of time testing it, the more you learn it's all wrinkles and foibles and so on. And the mechanics themselves, what they do with the A1GP car, they take it to bits and put it back together, and they really build it, meticulously. Well, they're not getting the chance to do that.
No, by the way, for news on who is in the driving seat this weekend, you can just take a look at the bottom of your screen now and see that a driver crawl that's running along the bottom of your screen. Who's driving for who this weekend? The new car, powered by Ferrari. You've had a chance to test drive it, Johnny. What's it like?
Fantastic. I mean, both the tracks that I tested on, it was the fastest that I've been around either of those circuits. So other than Formula One car, it's the quickest car I've driven, like Tony was talking about, for a lot of these drivers. Very good in the high speed, and I think that's where the experienced guys who've already had a flavour of this will come strong.
Let's just compare, shall we, the differences between the new car and the previous one. Here's a detailed look. Crikey, it's wet out there, isn't it? It's faster. 600 brake horsepower versus the old 550. That means more power in the power boost, an extra 30 brake horsepower. There's more torque. New brakes, carbon fibre ones, and new tyres as well, courtesy of Michelin. What about the rule changes? Not just the car that's changed since last season. Some of the rules have too. Qualifying sessions being reduced from 15 minutes to 10. The sprint race has been increased in length. The points allocation has been reduced. Mandatory pit stops also been introduced. The feature race does remain the same. Championship points awarded to the top 10 finishers with a bonus point to the nation who sets the fastest lap. Behind those graphics, Tony, it's a very, very wet Zandvoort. How is this new car going to cope with those conditions?
Well, first of all, don't worry, because pole position is in the shallow end. It won't be a problem. It's just very, very deep at the back of the grid. I think, first of all, it's a great equaliser. Secondly, there has been some wet running. People like Malaysia and so on at Snetterton, they ran in the wet, they ran in the dry. Doesn't seem to be any problems on it. The point is, it's such a sophisticated car. We're looking at a 2005 Ferrari, basically, a silhouette of that, and then all its innards. It's a Rory Byrne-inspired car. It's a fantastic piece of kit, but when you get out there and you get in these very, very wet conditions, the drivers will be more equal. It'll be more about the driver's talent, and it'll be more about people making mistakes and people closing up, and the smoother that you can be in the wet, the better it is. I'd have no worries about the car themselves. It's the drivers and the inexperienced drivers who'll be looking to make up gaps and speed.
Let's just focus on the drivers for a moment here, because there are some new teams involved this season, Monaco and Korea, but also a couple of new drivers in the mix as well. Johnny, tell us a bit about Team USA. They're run by Andretti Green Racing, which is a huge bonus, presumably, for A1 to have him involved in this series, but also Danica Patrick could be turning up for them at some point.
Well, you know, she's one of the biggest female sports people around in the world at the moment, and to have her involved with A1GP, I think, is a very good thing. Obviously, the Andretti name is huge in America and around the rest of the world, so a really good opportunity for A1 to make use of that.
OK, thanks, chaps, for the moment. A new car, new rules and some new drivers to look out for today, as we've said. After the break, we'll take a look at the track, and we'll also look back on yesterday's qualifying action when Jeroen at Bleekemolen delighted the home fans by taking P1 for race day.
Yes, he goes quickest. It's at 1:24, 2:13.
Welcome back to Circuit Park Zandvoort for A1GP's first race day of the new season. Well, we told you it was wet. No, we're only joking, that's the sea. A little further inland is the track, which looks like this. That also fairly wet. Has been plenty of drama off the track getting the series here this weekend. Let's take a look at the challenges on it with John Watson.
Local knowledge is a valuable thing, and few drivers know Zandvoort better than Jeroen Bleekemolen. But this year he has a new toy to play with, the A1GP powered by Ferrari car, and he talked John Watson around some of the features of the new machine. Carbon brakes and sophisticated electronics are a big step up from the previous car, whilst the aerodynamics provide greater levels of downforce. It's a huge opportunity to learn new limits and set fresh records. And there's no one better to talk us around Zandvoort than our own John Watson.
So what can the master of Zandvoort teach his mature pupil about the 4.63 kilometre circuit? Well, first of all, carbon brakes into the tires on hairpin means you're going to brake a lot deeper, hopefully going to offer a lot more overtaking opportunities. Rounds turns 3, 4 and into the Hugenholz hairpin bend. It's going to be the grip from our new Michelin tyres. That's going to be the story about how you exit out of that hairpin bend. And now that very quick part of the racetrack, the rights, the lefts, up the hill, over the crest, and then the dip down in the compression of turn 8. This is all about the aerodynamics. Brand new to this car, a lot more grip, and believe me, the drivers are going to enjoy it. Turn 9, a quick flick, you're in, and before you know it, you're out. Then the long and indecisive entry into turn 10. Where's the apex? Well, by the time you look for it, you passed it. Turn 11, get the car in early, settle it on the power early, then the drive out through the curve of turn 12 and the rush down to the very slippery turns 13 and 14. The aerodynamics, the tyres, the power all play their part around the lap, but it's coming up to turns 15 and 16 at the exit of this lap that will see the power of the Ferrari engine, first time in an A1GP car, attain speeds up to 280 kilometres per hour. And even after 3 laps, already Netherlands have broken the lap record. That's progress.
Get thoughts of Tony and Johnny on this circuit in Zandvoort. Tony, first of all to you, how much will track knowledge count for this weekend as opposed to car setup? Is that not more relevant?
It is relevant, yeah, but you've got two jobs to do. You've got to set up a brand new car and keep learning about it, as we saw in qualifying yesterday, as those that hadn't had any running time were catching up. Or you've got Jeroen Bleekemolen who knows every inch of this particular track. But as Johnny and I were just pointing out to each other, you've got very slow corners, fast corners and medium corners. You've got everything, but it's quite old in parts. You don't have very many runoff areas. You have some quite dangerous sections, like the last bend, the Arie Luijendijk, where we saw Loic Duval go up the bank yesterday. That's a really dangerous section, very, very fast, where the car will use its aerodynamics, especially in the dry, but today not so much in the wet.
Johnny, how good a track is it to see the new car being tested and at work in a first competitive outing?
I think it's a really good track for the first race. It's challenging. Like we said, it's got everything: low speed, medium speed and high speed. Good long pit straight, so hopefully a chance for some overtaking. And the thing is, it's entered by a very fast corner, which there's a chance of mistakes. So hopefully we're going to see a good race today.
Let's just remind you of who last year's front runners were, shall we? Because it was A1GP's most competitive yet last year, with the title decided on the final weekend at Brands. Switzerland taking the honours in the end from New Zealand in second. GBR again finishing a respectable third. Reminder that GBR won't be featuring this weekend. Tony, it was such a close run thing. Do you expect this season to be as competitive, bearing in mind all the drivers have got to almost go back to square one with this new car?
Yeah, but the difficult thing to say is who's really going to be up there. I see the teams with the sort of experience that France have as previous Cup winners, and Germany when they come into the fray, and GBR, Switzerland, etc., being in the mix. But I also see now the people who are maturing really well, like Malaysia, like China, who'll be coming through. And then you've got people like Portugal with Albuquerque, who's such a great new talent. He'll be coming through as well. I expect him to get his first win. So I think that's the excitement, trying to predict what's going to happen.
What do you think about GBR, Johnny? Can they go a couple better and win the championship this time round?
Well, they've been very consistent so far, third in the championship every year. And you know, either any of those years could have been a little bit better, but they've had a really strong run in all the seasons so far. And you know, it's down to the driver that they choose and the engineer to work together with this new car and try and go that step better.
OK, thanks, chaps. So GBR not here this weekend, as we said. It is a smaller grid than expected in Zandvoort. Here's how the nations that are competing today determined how they're going to line up for the sprint.
Qualifying for the first race of the season got underway at a windy Zandvoort, where the home fans joined their hero Jeroen Bleekemolen and the new A1GP powered by Ferrari car. Qualifying was changed to a simple 1 hour session in order to maximise track time for the new team, and it was Ireland's Adam Carroll who was the first to break last year's lap record to set provisional pole. New Team Monaco impressed everyone by challenging the regulars, as Claudio Piccione wasted no time in getting to grips with the new car. However, it was another debutant, Team Korea, who clipped the barriers, bringing the session to a halt. At the restart, it was Ireland looking to improve, but it was the Netherlands' Jeroen Bleekemolen who seized provisional pole with a scintillating run. Returning Team Australia's John Martin added to his weekend of woes with a mistake that brought out red flags again. There was confidence in the Netherlands pit, with Jeroen Bleekemolen content to wait and see if his time could be beaten. First to challenge was New Zealand's teenager Earl Bamber, who put in a fantastic lap to go second. In the dying moments, it was Ireland's Adam Carroll challenging, but he could do no better than third, sparking wild celebrations in the Netherlands pit as they secured pole position and a new A1GP lap record.
I beat my own lap record as well, and I have to say the feeling was really great, because the car is so nice to drive. When you come out of a qualifying lap with so much grip, so much downforce, it's an amazing feeling.
All the teams have done a great job. The cars have ran really well, and the championship even, to get everything together. So I think tomorrow evening there'll be a few tired people, but happy.
Yeah, I mean, this morning wasn't so good. We got some good wet running, and then I made a mistake in turn one and had a bit of a spin, and we lost a lot of dry running. So the main priority in qualifying was to try to get a lot of laps to help me learn the circuit in the dry, and then really attack towards the end of the session. Obviously it's a different format to normal, and we really worked on the car throughout the qualifying session and saved a new set of tyres right for the end, and also the power boost, and yeah, it came away a good lap. I wasn't expecting it. I was told that I was only 3/10 off P4 when I went out there, but never expected to be on the front row. So yeah, it's a very good lap. good qualifying session.
Really happy with the result because we were well prepared. We knew that beforehand, but you know, when you go to your home track, there's so many people, they expect you to be in pole as well, so the pressure was on, but I'm really happy that we could live up to the expectation, and of course the races are going to be tough again, but I'm really happy to be having the best starting position. The weather doesn't look too good, but to be honest, in the wet I think we are really strong as well. We've been strong here last year and 2 years ago in the wet. I know the place like no one else, so yeah, either way, you know, the weather, I think it should be good in dry or in the wet.
That man there, Jeroen Bleekemolen, he has pole on his home circuit. 18-year-old Earl Bamber starts alongside him for the sprint. Adam Carroll, quick yesterday, lines up third, and last season's champion Neil Yarni is in 6th spot. So just a reminder, for today only, in the course and the context of the entire season, the sprint race grid is going to determine the feature race lineup. But Tony, expect teams to tread a little carefully in this new A1GP car today.
As we established, there's not many spare parts, for one thing, and for second thing, you know, you've got the long feature race after that as well, and it tends to be, and that's why the rules have changed after this race back for China. There will be a mandatory pit stop, and the race is slightly longer, which I think is good, because some people have just played for points and it's been a little bit processional, and we've waited till the feature race to see the real overtaking and the dramas occurring when they have 2 mandatory pit stops. So this one, I think, with the weather conditions that they've got, the visibility, and just coming here on the motorway itself, the wipers couldn't really keep up with what's going on. You look at the North Sea and it blasting in across the sand dunes there, plus the sand and the muck that it throws up. Imagine all those gallons and gallons of water being thrown up, not just from the car in front, but from an open wheeler car. It just chucks it straight into you. You can't see a thing.
So if we're thinking that experience will prosper in this particular sprint race, what about the likes of Earl Bamber, new to the series, just 18 years old, Johnny?
Well, the good thing for him is he's starting near the front. You know, obviously Jeroen on pole position is hoping that he'll get a good start. Like Tony says, the visibility is a major thing. If you can get a good start and get in the lead, you have the sight and nobody else has that, so it's a massive advantage. So for Earl, you know, starting on the front row is a good place to be, and he can possibly learn a little bit in the wet from Jeroen, as he said he knows the wet lines and stuff, so good position to start.
From seeing him in action last year, you'd certainly be led to believe that Adam Carroll's pretty ruthless in the driving car. What about this season? He was quick yesterday. Is he someone that's a real contender for the championship this season, Tony?
He is a contender, and he's got the right people around him at Ireland for a change. And Mr. Gallagher has assured that. But the thing with him is that Adam always goes really for it all the time. He doesn't know when to back off. And I just fear in these conditions he just might get a little bit hairy, a little bit out of shape. So he wants to win so badly and he wants to start off so well. I hope he just tempers his enthusiasm a bit today.
If you want drama and excitement, you're in the right place. Time to take a quick break. When we come back, though, it is the sprint race from a very wet and wild Zandvoort. It's the first race weekend of the new A1GP season. Let's take you trackside for the sprint. Your commentary team, John Watson and Ben Edwards.
Conditions as we prepare for the first race of the season see a damp track. It's not raining that hard at the moment. The hardy Dutch fans here in huge numbers to support the first race of the season. Adam Carroll lines up in third place on the grid for Team Ireland. Good opportunity to get some points from there. But on the front row, the youngster, the 18-year-old Earl Bamber, driving for New Zealand. A stunning effort in qualifying from him. Beaten at the post, though, by the local hero, Jeroen Bleekemolen. There he is, speaking to new engineer Simon Keizer, working on their strategy for this all-important first race of the season. So it is the Dutch car on home territory, on pole position, but alongside him, the new youngster at Team New Zealand, and that's Earl Bamber. And then on the second row of the grid, watch out for the experienced Adam Carroll for Team Ireland. Alongside him on the grid is Malaysia, Faraz Fauzi. qualifying in 4th position. Right behind them, new country is Monaco. We've got Switzerland, the reigning champions, in 6th, then South Africa and Italy alongside one another, USA and Lebanon, and then back on row 6, France and Australia. Row 7, Portugal and Indonesia. Towards the back, we've got Korea and China and Brazil starting from pit lane. And we don't know how many laps they'll be doing behind the safety car. I would imagine it'll be at least a couple of laps just to really get the feel for these conditions. And the lights are certainly still on the Ferrari up front, so they're staying out for at least one more lap.
So when those lights go out, that indicates the safety car is going to pull off. So give the drivers another opportunity to run behind the safety car, having completed the standing start lap and then running behind for a second lap. So we've got 13 laps of this event to go, and it's either going to be a total of 14 or 30 minutes plus one lap, whichever comes the sooner. So I suspect it's going to go close to that 30-minute segment that time, that the checkered flag will be then finally shown.
So let's just take a look at what South Africa did. He was on the wide line.
Yeah, he ran out wide, very much the same as we saw Philippe Albuquerque for Portugal do. And he did actually lose position. He's lost the...
I think he
slotted back in again?
Yeah, he slotted back in between USA and Lebanon, I think.
Well, he was actually in 7th place, yeah. So he's lost 2 or 3 places.
I think has he regained them, and now, because he's now ahead of Italy again on track, so I think he's been able to move back into his original start position.
Interesting to see whether that will be permitted. Ordinarily, you would be required to fold the tail, but in these circumstances, he may have been advised, or he certainly took the opportunity to regain his original position, which is 7th in the line of cars. That would have been the 4th row of the grid had it been a standing start, or had it been the normal rolling start for the sprint event.
So we're on board with Team China here, starting a long way down there in 16th place. They've had very little running so far this weekend, but as we say, Ho Pin Tung does know the track extremely well. Raced here in Formula Ford, in Formula 3 as well in the Masters Series. And Ho Pin Tung, who speaks Chinese, Dutch, English, French and German, went to university here in Rotterdam, born in the Netherlands, as I say, but so he feels very, very at home, and it's good to see him in the Chinese car here this weekend.
I just wonder, is the rain coming back down again? The lens of one of those cameras around at turn 11 showing that it's picked up some of the rain. They've been cleaning the lenses tirelessly all morning.
Safety car coming in this lap, so they are going to be racing as they come past the line next time and down in towards Tarzan. And watch for particularly Blake Mullen's lines. I remember this 2 years ago. He was leading the feature racer. He lost out in terms of strategy in the end, but he had some very interesting lines around the track, looking for that little bit more traction.
Well, he's got the benefit of being the first car, so he's got no visibility problems. But keep an eye out for Ireland. I think Adam Carroll's going to try and spring a surprise on New Zealand at the earliest opportunity, and he wants to make a break, if possible, with the Netherlands car, and then offer up a challenge as we look into the Ireland garage. They've got a spare set of wet tyres already mounted in the event of needing to do so.
So the cars come out of the final turn, and it looks as though we're about to go racing for real now.
Ireland is spun coming out of turn 16.
Oh, Adam Carroll's put in too much power. He spins in front of the pack. He's been hit by Monaco, and leading the race is the Dutch car. The Netherlands take the lead from pole position. We're followed by New Zealand, but Adam Carroll has spun.
Well, Adam Carroll was doing precisely what I'd anticipated he would do. That's trying to get a run on the New Zealand car, but it penalised him. A big lock-up coming into turn.
It's the Lebanese car, Daniel Morad, who's lost it coming in, and he's gone straight into the gravel trap.
Well, you know, I know these drivers were told to be very, very careful. New Zealand getting almost into trouble in the middle of the hairpin bend down to Hugenholtz, but that from Ireland was so fundamental. What he was trying to do was keep close contact with the New Zealand car, and he got onto that part of the racetrack, which is very, very slippery indeed.
Yeah, hit by Monaco. Clivia Piccioni couldn't squeeze past. Look at this, Lebanon ducked out of the slipstream of USA and just lost it.
Well, we know Daniel Morad is courageous, and he's a little bit wild. Well, that was certainly as wild as he can get. He did not need to do anything of that nature. There we see the Monaco car, which ran into the side, or the rear of the Ireland car, and 12 laps to go, but New Zealand putting the pressure, and that's a surprise. I did not expect Earl Bamber to be right on the gearbox, and looks like he's very comfortable in that position.
Yeah, fantastic from Earl Bamber in the New Zealand car, much less experienced in these powerful cars than Blake Mullen. He doesn't know the circuit, he's had to learn it this weekend, but Blake Mullen's got a race on his hands here.
But a big surprise is Brazil down in 15th place. They've got the fastest lap.
I
did that come from? Alan back in the pits. Damage to that left rear corner, and what disappointment, the work, I mean, the expectation from the team. Malaysia now defending, in fact, from Switzerland. So Neil Yarni, very limited running in the car, really got into it. Oh, Malaysia!
Faris Fauzi gets over the white line, over the curb, and makes a mistake, but he's not lost the place yet.
Waved yellow flags just for that. That's what it is, the Monaco car, that's why.
Yeah, Netherlands still lead, so it's New Zealand second. Malaysia trying to hold on to third from Switzerland in fourth place as they head back down towards Tarzan, riding on board New Zealand, then looking back from the Dutch car.
Staying high in the Tarzan hairpin. That's where the best grip in these conditions is going to be. So the gap is just under a second, but really that's all it needs to be. The visibility, you can see with the rain falling, is getting more and more difficult. Again, running the sort of high line. The Netherlands car seems to be slightly more comfortable through the corner. Oh, two cars are off of the hairpin. It's Australia,
one of them, and
I think it might be Brazil.
Right, we'll try and check that. It could have been Brazil. No, it's not Brazil. It's Korea. It's Korea there. Jin Woo Hwang on his debut for Korea is off with the Australian machine. It looks as though John Martin might be able to rejoin. He's certainly trying to, and there's a shake of the head. Alan Jones can't believe it. That car has been off almost in every session so far this weekend. He's got it going, though.
Yes, he has, but the Korea car, I think, is a stalled engine. So really, I mean, difficult conditions, except that they are difficult conditions. Well, this is Korea, I think, is the cause of that. Just simply too quick into the corner, and they just drove into the side of the Australia car. So this time, John Martin, completely innocent of all charges. Alan Jones shakes his head in disgust, and that was inexperience and a little bit of foolhardiness too.
Well, what a shame. The Korean, there he is, Jin Woo Hwang getting out of the car. Look at the battle for the lead up front between the Netherlands and New Zealand, and there is nothing to choose between them. And Jeroen Bleekemolen is finding that he's got a tough time here. They've got a rescue vehicle out in front of them. It's not the safety car, though, so they can overtake it. The white flag being displayed to show there's a slow-moving car on circuit.
And Neil Yarni has now got ahead of Malaysia. Malaysia, we saw, get a big tank slapper here 1 lap ago. Neil Yarni for Switzerland has got ahead. So that, I don't know, looking to see where that yellow car is now, dropped back in fourth place. Neil Yarni just very carefully, slowly waved yellow flags, oil flag. I think that's more to do with the track surface than being oil as such. But there you see third for Switzerland, fourth now for Malaysia, and fifth for France, Loic Duval. So the flags being waved, not allowed to overtake. The red and yellow flag, ordinarily the oil flag, I suspect that's just to indicate the racetrack is wet.
So Clivio Piccioni walking back down the pit lane. Just to tell you, France up to 5th place. Loic Duval, as you said, John, he started down in 11th place on the grid. So this is a super drive so far from him. But China here trying to get past Italy, and that is the battle for 7th position.
Well, Hu Pingtung, I mean, so much more experience over the last year with his racing summer season, so he is certainly knowledgeable of this circuit, but more experience than Italy ahead of them. A great job that was being done nonetheless by Fabio Oninji, but that Hu Pingtung you would expect with a little bit more experience is soon going to be able to find a way past Italy.
You can look from the overhead shot that New Zealand's dropped back a bit on this lap, and Switzerland definitely closing. So Neil Yarni, the reigning champion, Switzerland, closing up as he gets a little bit tighter to the back of that New Zealand car. Earl Bamber, the youngster driving for New Zealand here this weekend, a lot resting on his shoulders. So far, he's delivering.
You know, I just wonder whether Earl Bamber's decided this is going to be, we've got 10 laps to go now. If I finish in 2nd place, I'll still start in the front row of the grid. My concern really is not so much about trying to win this race against the local man, the local circuit specialist, but keeping the Swiss car behind me, which is caught up and is by the lap. Well, Switzerland done a 1:49.06 against the 1:51, so Neil Yarni is the quickest man on the track. Outside of France, who have now got the fastest lap, a 1:48.3. Loic Duval in 5th place behind Malaysia, less than half a second. So Loic Duval, before the race is over, is going to be in contention potentially for a podium finish.
Well, we know how talented he is. There is the French car, a lot of black on the car as it's still not quite fully deckled up for the season, but definitely closing up to the back of Malaysia. Faris Fauzi is currently running 4th for Team Malaysia, but there behind him is the French car of Loic Duval. Then there's the gap back to South Africa. South Africa are under a bit of threat now from China, who have got past Italy on that lap. China now in 7th, and we did expect him to move up, and he's doing so. USA running down in 9th, Portugal in 10th place. Did Lebanon get going again? I think they did, actually, out of the gravel. Daniel Morad is still running, I think, in this race. He's down in 11th position. And Brazil also running down in 12th, but a long way back.
Well, this is the view on board the Malaysia car.
No, it's China, I think.
China it is. Okay, so it's going to get the pass on China, on Italy. So they do it up into turn 11, up the inside. whereas most people tend to take the long way around the corner, which is what Italy would have done. So we see that pass from Hu Pingtung. Battle again for the lead. New Zealand right and almost getting alongside on the exit of turn 11.
So suddenly, the New Zealand car right on terms with the Dutch car once again. And Blake Mullen is in the trouble here because New Zealand's going to try and go around him. He's going to try and go around the outside, but he runs out of space. But now the Dutch car's on the grass, and he comes back on through the puddle. Now New Zealand has got the chance to come back on the other side, trying to take the lead, and he does so. What a bit of driving from Earl Bamber.
Well, that was opportunistic. Look at the joy New Zealand have taken on and not defeated, there's still quite line laps to go, but Jeroen Bleekemolen was forced into that error by the pace of the young New Zealand driver Earl Bamber, and now it's going to be pressure on the rear of the Netherlands car from Switzerland. Look at the gap as they come across the line, 1.5 seconds, the gap between New Zealand having just overtaken the Dutch car 3 corners ago. Now pressure from Switzerland, with France now causing the pressure to go to the tail of the Malaysia car.
Oh, the Dutch fans won't like to see that. Their man has been passed. But well, this was great stuff, John.
Yes, coming out of turn 12, you go over the crest, then you drop down. Defensive line from the Netherlands. Bamber puts the New Zealand car alongside. Attempts to go around the outside, but just too tight, and then forced the Dutch car across the grass, well, the mud really, and then the switch back gave the advantage back to New Zealand, and once he had ahead, he was just going to pull away.
Great racing awareness from Earl Bamber here, because he could easily have been taken out at this point. Look how close they get here.
I mean, just in these conditions, that is the worst part of the racetrack in terms of overall grip, and Earl Bamber, a young driver with relatively inexperience in terms of this racetrack, just stuck it to the Netherlands team. Now we look behind what's going on. Switzerland and Malaysia, they've got back together, and it looks like Malaysia's trying to find a way past Switzerland to take that 3rd place.
Yeah, Faraz Fawzi's going for it around the outside. I think he's done it, hasn't he? He's gone ahead of Neil Yarni. Yarni's going to try and fight back, and don't forget that France, Loic Duval is just in behind them as well. It's New Zealand leading, the Netherlands in 2nd, Malaysia in the yellow and white colours in 3rd. The Swiss car of Neil Yarni now in 4th place, France in 5th. China are running in 6th place, ahead of South Africa now, but China quite a long way behind this group, so I'm not sure that in the remaining laps there is time for them to close that gap. That's one to watch out for.
But this top 5, it is France for the last 3 consecutive laps that's been giving us fastest race lap, closing down eventually to the tail now of the Swiss car. Malaysia having got past Switzerland. Look, there's the gap. France closing up. Watch for France to look and see if they can make a pass down the inside into Tarzan Herpen.
So Earl Bamber looking so good up front. Who would think the lad? Oh, and there's a problem for Netherlands. He's passed by Malaysia, got into trouble mid-turn, and he was passed by Faraz Fawzi. So Malaysia now 2nd, the Netherlands in 3rd, Switzerland in 4th, and France in 5th.
The track is getting wetter by the lap. When the track was at its slickest as opposed to as it's wettest now, that was the advantage that the Netherlands seemed to enjoy. But now with the rain falling heavier and heavier, Netherlands are dropping back. They've lost 2 positions, 1st to New Zealand, 2nd to Malaysia, and now under pressure from Switzerland, with France right behind, putting pressure on the 2 of them.
Remember, all the teams lacking information. They've had to take a real guess as to how to set these cars up, and some have probably guessed better than others. Right now it looks like New Zealand have guessed extremely well, and the young driver Earl Bamber is delivering for them. But the Netherlands in 3rd place, now under pressure. Here comes France trying to take 4th. Loic Duval at the inside, and Neil Yarni almost comes to a stop, but Yarni gets on the slippery bit where the oil is, runs off wide, and he loses the place. Can he get back on? Yes, he can.
But he has lost that place. France stuck the car up inside quite legitimately, then had to get on the brakes to avoid any contact. But Switzerland then going a little bit further to the left. There is oil on that part of the racetrack. 3 cars we've seen go in that area, and 3 cars have found themselves off the track. Switzerland has dropped back, having been really in contention for 2nd place earlier in this race, now all the way back to 5th.
China from 16th now in 5th, and or 6th rather, challenging Switzerland for that 5th place. The rest coming through. There's USA running in 9th. Charlie Kimball, he's behind Italy and South Africa at the moment. Fastest lap though in this race still belonging to France.
7 laps to go. That'll soon be 6, but only 7 minutes and 48 seconds remaining, so it's going to be a time race. I suspect that's of course 30 minutes plus 1 lap, so it may well not make the 14 lap schedules.
Now then, the French car closing up to the back of the Dutch car. Meanwhile, up front, I noticed that Malaysia wasn't far behind New Zealand either. So Faraz Fawzi has caught the race leader. Meanwhile, the battle for third hotting up here. And Blake Molan from pole position. Well, he's lost a potential win. He might lose a potential podium finish. There are the top two. Look how close Faraz Fawzi is. Although Earl Bamber just gets on the power smoothly as they go through Hunsrug, and he just eases away a little bit again.
Still a long way to go, 6 laps. As we look further back, and pressure coming from France now on the Netherlands. So poor Jeroen Bleekemolen, who really sat on pole position, imagining he's got a real shoe into winning the sprint race here in front of his home crowd, and that has evaporated. 2 incidents where the car got offline certainly, and lost momentum. Now with Loïc Duval, who has been pretty much the quickest driver. Certainly he was impressive this morning and continues.
Here's a battle for the lead. Malaysia getting alongside New Zealand, almost a touch. He's through. Malaysia's through. Faraz Fawzi leads here at Zandvoort in the first round of the championship, and New Zealand losing time. Back to second.
Yes, a good pass in turn 11. He got again up the inside. We've seen him do that already once in this race. He has found grip on the inside going into turn 11, where nobody else has managed to do it. Earl Bamber, who took the lead from the Netherlands, now has had to concede that to Malaysia, and the look in the New Zealand pits were there slightly perplexed with the pace that New Zealand had in the middle of this race. Suddenly has gone now to Malaysia. Remember, at the start of the race, Malaysia was almost off track in turn 15, and suddenly Faraz Fawzi has found something in the car to give him the momentum to get himself now to the front of the field and lead this sprint race. 5 laps to go.
Well, the conditions have got worse and worse, haven't they? And that surely has changed the setup in terms of what's working. It's much wetter out there now, and that seems to be suiting Faraz Fawzi.
Yes, I mean, as I assume with the Netherlands, there we see out of turn 10. Now watch Fawzi, the Malaysia car, down the inside. New Zealand looking to take the long line around turn 11. That's fundamentally where you want to be, but Fawzi in the Malaysia car has said, no, we've got bite and grip with our car on the inside, and if you can place your car on the inside, you'll have the advantage on the exit of the corner.
Well, that really caused some delight, didn't it? Meanwhile, further back, you've got Australia still running, and Brazil, they are actually dicing, although they're a long way down. They're almost a lap down, these two. Australia, of course, involved in that incident with Lebanon earlier on. Lebanon currently running in 11th place, but it's Malaysia that leads this race from New Zealand in second. France in third, ahead of the Dutch car now. So France into that podium spot. There's the Dutch car, the Netherlands in fourth, China in 5th place, and then it's Switzerland who've dropped all the way to 6th position.
Well, I mean, literally the track conditions at the start of this race, it was more slick than wet. Now it is extremely wet, and the next concern will be on some parts of the track, will there be any standing water? But obviously some cars have been set up in such a way to work in one level of wetness. Others have been set up in a different way to deal with what we've got right now. And the cars that are working really well are clearly the Malaysia car, New Zealand and France. China equally has done a great job to get themselves into the position.
Switzerland trying to catch back up, but China really have made a tremendous charge through this race. They've gained 11 places on where they started. Team China, Ho Pin Tung trying to close a little further to the back of Jeroen Bleekemolen for the Dutch team, and these two guys both knowing the Zandvoort circuit well. And Team China, who've done so little running with this car, first time they've run it really was this morning. Almost.
Oh, he's lost it. Ho Pin Tung's lost it on the exit of 16. Keep it off the wall. Clips the rear wheel and the rear wing, and again just shows you how treacherous. Right in front of our commentary booth, the car comes to a standstill. The booth on the left of that picture, that's where we're commentating from.
Yeah, we're just looking straight into his eyes virtually. He's flicking open his
Watch
visor.
again, almost a mirror of what happened to Alan. A little bit later, the back end gets away, just a little bit too much power, too early in the exit of the corner, and away he goes. I mean, these are exceptional conditions and very difficult. On board with China. Around she goes, almost got away with it. If he had managed to avoid that barrier, he probably could have continued losing only 2 or 3 places.
Oh, he's getting out of the car, looking from our commentary box. We can just see him. He's out of the car. He's furious with himself, and Brazil's off. Brazil as well. These conditions are treacherous, and we're losing several cars here. There is Ho Pin Tung clambering out of the car. Rescue vehicle down there. They'll try and get it out of position. It's on the pit lane entrance, but there are no pit stops planned in this race, so hopefully it won't hinder anyone else. Take a look at what happened to Brazil.
He went off going up out of turn 7 and clobbered the barrier on the outside, and suspension damage, bodywork damage. Again, a high-speed part of the racetrack, but if you lose control there, the track in effect is very narrow and you've got grass on the outside, and if you get on the grass, well then it will go a long, long way.
So up front, Malaysia still leads. There is the yellow and white car. Faraz Fawzi at the wheel, driving superbly in these very wet conditions now. But Earl Bamber holding on to second, and France, superb drive from Loic Duval as well in third.
Well, we're just seeing the China driver Hu Pingtong getting back into that China car directly in front of us. I don't know what they're going to try and do because the car is 90 degrees to the track, but he's got a marshal assisting him. Whether they're going to try and push the car to safety, we wait to see.
Netherlands under pressure from Switzerland. That is for fourth position, and Jeroen Bleekemolen really now having to watch out in his mirrors for Neil Yarni, who's just getting a bit closer. They're going past the stricken car of Team China there. As you say, John, they've put Hope back in the car.
Well, they're going to tow him away. They've got a truck there to tow the car away to safety. It's in a vulnerable place for the marshals and for the car itself, so they want to pull that car some way, whether it's against the flow of traffic or they're going to try, the marshals are trying to pull the car 90 degrees to face the direction the track is running.
Bleekemolen still in fourth place, Switzerland in fifth thanks to Neil Yarni, South Africa in sixth, and red flag. The race has been red flagged. Too many cars off. That's the Italian car being winched out of the way. Hadn't seen him go off. And Malaysia have taken victory here in the first race of the season.
But behind, we're not sure because the results will go back one lap. Under these circumstances, I think that's the normal procedure.
Yes, but Malaysia, I'm pretty sure, will get the victory anyway. They were leading last time around.
They were.
And Faraz Fawzi takes his personal first win in the series. Malaysia have won in the past with the efforts of Alex Young. Last time he won was in Mexico in Season 2. They had no wins at all last year. Faraz Fawzi's taken his first ever victory in A1GP in the new car powered by Ferrari. And what a boost that is to the team. An absolutely fabulous result in the most treacherous conditions, and the way that he was able to come through, John, he just sort of picked them off one by one in the latter stages.
Yeah, but I'm impressed by is that in fact he dropped back in the opening laps, then seemed to stabilise, then suddenly surged forward, and certainly you could see that Faraz Fawzi was able to use his car more effectively in the latter stages as the racetrack got wetter than any other nation or driver out there.
That's right, Netherlands just off the podium in the end, finishing in fourth place for Jeroen Bleekemolen. Just didn't seem to have a car that worked so well later on in the race, but into Parc Ferme, Faraz Fawzi, how good has this got to feel? His personal first win. Malaysia might have won in the past in the hands of Alex Young, but it's a new feeling for him.
Well, in effect, it's a new start to the A1 team from Malaysia. They've made a lot of changes on the engineering you've talked about. Faraz Fawzi is going to be fundamentally the driver for the entire full series, and what a way to start that full series first race, sprint race, in very, very difficult conditions here in Zandvoort with a victory.
And star performances from both Earl Bamber and that man as well, Loic Duval, started 11th on the grid, and he set the fastest lap as well to take third position, and that really is quite an achievement when you consider France didn't get out in their car until qualifying. I'm afraid a few didn't make it to the end of the race. There's a Korean driver walking back and the Indonesian driver, but the guys, the top three, are making their way up there onto the podium. He's got his flag with him. Faraz Fawzi's going to make the most of the celebrations. The first ever win powered by Ferrari in A1GP. Earl Bamber, 18 years old, but he drove with great maturity, and of course Loic Duval doing what we've seen him do before.
Well, I think he really surprised the entire paddock here, because that overtaking manoeuvre earlier in the race in the Netherlands car was an absolute dream of a pass, and I think he should be thoroughly delighted with that second place.
Great stuff indeed. And the presentation's being made. There is Duval picking up the trophy. France have had a few podium finishes here at Zandvoort over the last couple of years, and there's another one. They've never taken the race victory here, but I think they'll be well satisfied with that. He did have the benefit of a run this morning. There was an early morning test session, which 4 cars were allowed because they'd had virtually no running before.
Yeah, and he was by a huge margin the quickest of those 4 cars. I watched him earlier in that session this morning, and clearly he knew what he was all about, but starting that little bit further behind in the grid, going through the traffic, mainly going through the spray.
So there is the Malaysian team. They're just celebrating the moment for Faraz Fawzi taking that first win of the season. anthem plays out. And these guys, well, they can celebrate. They've still got work to do, of course, as we get ready for the next race, the feature race, still to be held, but still great achievement by all three there to not only finish the race, but to come home with a podium finish as well. Just lining up there for the photographs. And confirmation of that result. Fauzi taking the win from Bamba in second place and Loic Duval in third position. Let's now hear from our top three.
First, Fauzi, congratulations. First win of the new A1GP powered by Ferrari era. You must be ecstatic.
Of course, it's a fantastic weekend. You know, I would like to thank to the team, guys who worked the car so hard for during the winter, during the test. I couldn't say anymore. I was so very happy, and to start the first race of the season and then to win the race, it's fantastic for us.
Congratulations, Team Malaysia in first position. Second position, Earl Bamber, your very first race for Team New Zealand, and the second is not too bad.
Yeah, I think it's good. You know, it's pretty atrocious conditions this morning. We got a good start and then managed to get past the Netherlands, and then we held the lead for quite a while, but then Faris was just a little bit quicker and got past me on the infield. And yeah, I think seconds are good, so hopefully we can make some changes for the afternoon and see what happens with this weather.
Talk us through that move with your own to take the lead. It looked pretty tricky there. You were going around the outside, then he came across you.
Yeah, I mean, it all started a couple of corners back. Actually, he got on some oil and it made him get a slow exit. And then I got down the outside of him into the chicane, and then he outbraked himself and went over through the dirt and the gravel. And then he ran wide, and I managed to cross him back over again. So it was a good pass, but pretty close to touching. But,
congratulations to Team New Zealand, then second position, and third, Team France, 11th position you started the race. A busy race for you, Loic.
Yeah, it was really tough. You know, behind everybody, it's really difficult to see anything, but really happy. You know, we received the car yesterday. We just ran on the qualifying and finished on the podium today. It's great for us. It's good results. Then, I mean, everything's possible for this afternoon, so for sure we are confident now.
So confirmation once again of the full result. It is Malaysia, New Zealand, France top three, with Netherlands just outside the podium finishers there in fourth, Switzerland in fifth, ahead of South Africa and Italy, and USA picking up the final point, top 8 score in the sprint race. Portugal, Lebanon, Australia finished. China finished in the wall, but if one lap less, and perhaps they'd got a good result out of that. Brazil also crashing out of the race, and that looked like there was a bit more damage done to that car, so it's a great shame for Filipe Guimarães. And of course there were one or two others that didn't make the finish. Korea, Indonesia, Ireland spinning out on that formation lap, just coming onto the start effectively. Monaco collecting them, so that was a great shame. Let's just take a look back at some of the highlights of that race. And as everybody got ready for the first race of the season, well, we knew it was going to be slippery out there. And Brazil, of course, they were running a bit late. They actually had to start from the pit lane. All the other teams getting ready on the grid and preparing themselves for what proved to be pretty exciting stuff.
Yes, and it was decided this should be a start under a safety car. I think a very good judgment to allow everybody in the first race under difficult conditions to start in single file, and that's what we had with the Netherlands, and that pole position with Earl Bamber for New Zealand directly behind. But here was the start of the action on this lap, coming Adam Cowell for Ireland, losing it under acceleration at turn 16.
Yeah, spun it round, and unfortunately Monaco had nowhere to go, so made contact, and that put both of the cars out of the race. So we lost two before they'd even really got going. Disappointment there in the Irish pit. Gary Anderson part of that. And then this was Lebanon, John.
Yeah, an unguided missile. Lebanon launched down the inside, been totally out of control, and just locked it up and sailed off the track with no grip whatsoever once you're out of control.
And then there was this other incident. This was Korea and Australia. Australia would rejoin, but Korea were unable to get back into the race.
Yeah, that was an avoidable incident. Alan Jones, quite rightly too, and justifiably very upset by the driving of the Korea car. But here was a battle that really was the intense part of the first part of this race. Down the outside into turn 13, the right-hander, and then the switch back to the left. But Netherlands get it all wrong. Run over the gravel on the inside, then can't make the turn. Run to the outside of turn 14. Earl Bamber, New Zealand just accelerate, take the lead. A classic overtaking manoeuvre from an 18-year-old.
Yeah, I know, it's fantastic. He looks like he's been racing for many years. Of course he has. He's a karting champion from New Zealand. But then, of course, we saw Faris Fauzi gradually picking them off one by one. His car was working brilliantly.
Yeah, I mean, in the latter part of the race, more rain on the racetrack. Somehow, Faris Fauzi and Malaysia were able to find grip, even on the inside of turn 11. There's a tarmac change there, less grip in the wet, but he had the bite and got the lead from New Zealand.
So that certainly caused some celebrations down in the pits. Meanwhile, China was on a climb up through the field until this spin for Ho Bin Tung.
Yeah, again, a little bit similar to Ireland, but of course at a much higher speed. But the grip just wasn't there at the exit of the corner. And once that pendulum effect took over, that was all over, as it was for Brazil at turn 7.
Yeah, Brazil made pretty hefty contact with the Armco barrier. He's okay, I'm glad to say, but it was Malaysia with the red flag coming out and bringing the race to a slightly early conclusion. It was Malaysia that took a fairly comfortable victory in the end, with New Zealand a very strong second place for Earl Bamber, and certainly he's impressed many people with his ability to race hard in difficult conditions. But 10 points, the first win of the season, has gone to Malaysia and to Fares Fauzi.
Welcome back to Zandvoort, Holland. A1GP Season 4 is one race old, and Malaysia have taken the first win of the campaign so far. Confirmation then of how the sprint race ended. Malaysia's Fares Fauzi with his first ever win in A1GP, top of the pile. 18-year-old Earl Bamber for Team New Zealand finishing in second. Loic Duval, a major mover up from 11th to third on that grid. The pole sitter, Jeroen Bleekemolen, ending the race in fourth, and the champion Switzerland finishing in fifth. Tony Jardine and Johnny Kane alongside me. They've been keeping across all the drama out there on that very wet and wild Zandvoort track. Tony, we mentioned before that sprint race that Adam Carroll had a propensity to push it occasionally. And he did, didn't he? Straight after the safety car at the very beginning of that race.
Because one of the things he likes to do is go for it really early on, but when you're coming through the Ari Lyondike turn and you perhaps give it a little bit too much throttle, a little bit too early and get wide, as he did, was a bit of a mistake. As you watch here, safety car's just gone in, and then he's sliding wide on the white line as well. He's very, very lucky that he only got collected by Piccioni from Monte Carlo, the whole field streaming towards him, but yet he didn't go any further. He didn't get back into the race because he didn't seem to have too much damage.
We were wondering before this sprint race whether there would be plenty of overtakings we've seen in a previous series, and China made their move and an example of it, overtaking on the inside, Johnny.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't necessarily think a Chinese driver would be a wet weather expert, but it does everything right here, gets good drive out of the previous corner, just slides it up the inside, and yeah, good pass, good pass.
The Netherlands and New Zealand had something of a tussle for the lead early on in this race. Let's just take a look at it. And Tony, how well did the young Earl Bamber do to apply the pressure here?
Well, this is stupendous in my book, because yesterday he ran off the track. Earl Bamber, the 18-year-old, ran off the track. Jeroen Bleekemolen doesn't really have an excuse because he knows Zandvoort like the back of his hand. It's his home track. But look at that, inside, outside. This young 18-year-old forces the seasoned Netherlander to go off auto-crossing, rally-cross, whatever, right across in the muck that must be on the Dutchman's tyres now. And Bamber keeps his cool, just lets him slide across him, nips back inside to claim the place.
Showing immense bravery as well, bravery, bearing in mind the fact that this is his first time in the A1GP series and he's driving a new car on a circuit that he hasn't driven this car on before.
Yeah, I mean, initially you think he's possibly put himself in a bad position on the outside, and it looks like Jeroen's covered the move, but once they get into the corner, Jeroen's back end just slides out, and you know, his only option to save from spin is to rallycross, as Tony says.
But it's not a known as a great overtaking place down into the Audi bocht, you know, because it's so tight through here. Yeah. But yeah, he made him commit. But Colin Giltrap, the seat owner of New Zealand, he's a hard case. He's the one that has really dropped Johnny Reid in favour of this new hotshot kid, and he's proving to be right. But yesterday morning he wasn't, because the kid had gone off at Tarzan Bend, lost a lot of time, and Giltrap was seen with him for about 20 minutes, finger wagging, giving him a right telling off. So perhaps that put him right.
Alex Young won't be telling off Fares Fauzi after his performance today, because Malaysia were always on the move, weren't they? Stealthily making their way up the grid. They seem to have found something that others perhaps haven't yet, Johnny.
Well, again, setup of the car is massively important in conditions like this. You raise the car up to keep the floor of the car out of the water so as it doesn't act like a boat. And possibly they've just gone a little bit higher with the ride height. As the track got wetter, they seem to get stronger and stronger. and not taking anything away from him. He passed people around the outside, he passed them up the inside, did a fantastic job, but car setup probably had something to do with it.
Yeah, more like boating out there on that track in Zandvoort today in that sprint race. Switzerland in contention early on, but they lost control later on, Tony. That shows that the experienced drivers are struggling out there just as much as the inexperienced ones.
That's what we say about the wet. It's the great level, you see. But then you've got Loic Duval, who was coming through the field. He'd come from 11th, as you pointed out earlier on. And he really was forcing all the issues. There was a little bit of oil on the outside, but Neil Yarni, who'd also, Switzerland had got their car relatively late and had to build up a new car. He just had to run wide as well. So he salvaged a 5th place. It's not too bad a kick-off for them. The champions.
We were wary because of the wet weather out in Zandvoort and because, of course, they're testing this new A1GP car for the first time, that several cars may find their way off the track, which is exactly what happened with Team China. Just take us through their last spin.
Well, China just had the one session. They'd been building the car up and they'd had dispensation for this special run this morning. But Ho Pin Tung, it's his turn to take over from Frankie Cheng. And this is so high speed down there. You just look, he's coming through the area Lion Dyke. We talked about it being, in my opinion, the most dangerous curve because it's the fastest one leading onto the straight. You need all that speed onto the straight. Just clipped the barrier. Very, very lucky indeed to get away with that. So they should be in the feature race okay.
How big a job do the teams now have on their case, Johnny, to make sure those cars that did spin off the track are prepared and ready to go for the feature?
Well, obviously Brazil had a bit of damage, but most of the people were pretty lucky. I think China especially, there's no runoff at the exit of that last corner. Could have been a much bigger accident, and with the very few spares that they have and the teams helping each other out, it could have been a bigger problem than it is.
First time we have taken a look at the A1GP car. What have you made of it, Tony?
I mean, I think it's wonderful. We haven't really seen it in its true context in the dry conditions yet, where I think you're going to see the incredible downforce coming into effect on the faster bends. It's sophisticated, it's a leap forward. It clearly is very, very enjoyable for the drivers. Looking at some of their comments after the race, they say that they're really tired, their arms, their legs, their shoulders, their necks. There's a few fitness campaigns, I think, going to have to go on amongst them. Because, I mean, it's just like Johnny, he's driven everything from Indy cars, Indy Lights, sports cars, F3 champion and so on. Those single-seater cars, especially with a lot of downforce, they really punish you and you really get pushed around inside the cockpit.
Yeah, how demanding is it, Johnny? Just give us an idea of how much more demanding it is driving this car to the old A1GP car.
Well, it's mainly the high speed in the high downforce, high speed corners. You get a lot more G through the body. Steering weight isn't actually that much of an issue. The last year's car was pretty heavy, and the geometry on the front of this car, the steering isn't that heavy, so that's not so bad. But it's the neck and the rest of the body that takes the heavy work.
You can't help but feel a little smug, can you, sitting in the warmth of our studio back here in London, watching what's going on the sand dunes of Zandvoort. But great to see that so many of the Dutch fans and otherwise have turned out as well to see this first A1GP race of this season. Apparently rumours of a 50,000 strong crowd out there today to see Jeroen Bleekmolen and others race in this new A1GP car for the first time this season. Let's take you over to our commentary team of John Watson and Ben Edwards, who'll take you through more.
Now he was talking to us earlier, John. He felt the car was working really well in the early stages.
Yeah, again, like a number of drivers, I think that he suffered from not maintaining that tyre temperature, and as a consequence then the grip wasn't there. The confidence tends to go as well. So if you can't drive through the problem, I mean, there you get a view of what the surf is like on the beach. Those are big long waves coming in off the North Sea, and the wind is just about driving the rain horizontally. It's not falling as rain normally would fall. Very difficult conditions. Not something any of the drivers would really particularly look forward to.
No, it's certainly not the easiest way to start off with this new car. Let's just remind you, of course, powered by Ferrari, 600 brake horsepower now, 4.5 litre Ferrari V8 engine. And we've seen in the dry lap times around 3 seconds faster than the old car.
Yes, I mean, that's the old car after 3 years of running and development and refinement. This is the first time these cars have run in anger at a race meeting, and really they haven't even begun to scratch the surface. The understanding of the car hasn't even begun, and I would imagine as we go through the first part of this 4th series of A1, through China into Malaysia. I think by the time we get to Malaysia, you'll start to see the teams getting a greater understanding of what potential they have is. Of course, don't forget also in this race, and as they were in the sprint race, they did have power boost. How much they will want to use that in these conditions is almost academic as to whether the extra 60 horsepower available with power boost is going to be used, other than if the track conditions do ensue signs of improving.
That's right, but the drivers are all well impressed with the power of this engine. There's no doubt about that. It's just in the wet conditions, of course, they've got to control how the power goes down to the road. There's no traction control, so they've got to sort that out themselves. The spectators finding... Well, I don't know, he can't even get his arms out. He doesn't want to get too wet, so different ways of eating things as well.
Yes, well, you see lots of life here in Zandvoort. It is a wonderful racetrack and a great country.
It is, yeah. Well, there's Malaysia on pole position then. We had a quick glimpse of Ho Pin Tung for China a little while ago, and we also saw Neil Yarney for Team Switzerland. Well, we're going to try and burrow beneath the umbrella and have a word.
Neil, did you say Chanel?
Yeah, we've got a little bit of a technical problem down there with that one. Sorry about that. We'll try and get back to Neil.
I think the range getting into everything is just simply lashing again. Unbelievably uncomfortable for the pit crews. Drivers pretty well covered up, but even though they are, the water does get into electronics, and the two things do not like one another.
No, absolutely right. And these guys who've been standing out on the sand dunes since that early hour this morning, they must be so drenched. And yet, look at them, still having a great party atmosphere up there and looking forward to things getting underway. And they're not going to be leaving their spots. They took them early this morning when it was only just light, and they are not going to be moving from them until they've seen a race.
But one of the great things about the Zandvoort circuit, it is a really, truly friendly family venue. You'll see mums and dads and sons and daughters all coming along to an event here this week. Even in these conditions, it's a great day out. They love coming to see the motor racing at this great Netherlands racetrack.
Yeah, 60 years old, this track. And designed by John Hugenholtz, who has certainly been responsible for some great circuits around the world. The Suzuka circuit was another one of his, and another great track to drive on. As we've mentioned, this track has changed its formation a little bit over the years. Last Formula One Grand Prix was held back in 1985, and then after that the track was very considerably shortened, only then in the mid-90s to be further extended and use some of that older section once again. Those lovely sweepers that go out from behind the pits.
Oh yeah, I mean through turns 5, 6, 7, 8, and then where you rejoin into what would become the more modern version of the racetrack. But those are the original old corners, and I mean they were very challenging corners many years ago. They're equally challenging today in these very demanding conditions. And we saw the Brazil car just being literally caught out by the water running across the track and going into the barrier on the left-hand side, sliding across the track and finishing on the right-hand side.
Well, even on the grid, people are managing to produce a smile as we try and get ready for this race. We saw Portugal a moment ago. It is Philippe Albuquerque driving for Team Portugal once again. He did the latter part of last season and impressed us considerably. Scored a couple of podium finishes at Shanghai, and also had a podium finish in South Africa. But there's the American car, and that is Charlie Kimball. Big story, of course, this weekend is that Andretti Green Racing are now involved in the running of an A1GP car, and Michael Andretti's here this weekend as well.
Well, I think it's an enormous coup for A1GP to draw in a team like Andretti Green. Michael was here yesterday explaining why they've decided to take an entry on behalf of North America of this series. He's very enthusiastic about it. His son Marco really wanted to be here. He wanted to drive the USA car here this weekend, but a prior commitment in North America precluded him from being so. But expect to see the Andretti name back racing and single-seater racing in Europe, but more importantly around the world and outside of North America.
No, it's wonderful to have the name associated with A1GP, and of course as a team they have done so much winning in recent years in the IRL that they're going to bring that expertise, and it just ramps up the level once again of competition in A1GP. Lebanon really hoping for great things from Daniel Murad. He is a youngster, he's very, very brave, very determined, has made the odd error, there's no doubt about it so far this weekend. Now they've just got to try and control that raw talent that is within him. Interestingly, some of the guys who are looking after the Lebanon car were the guys who were on Team Germany previously. There's a lot of great experience in that group of people.
Well, if they've got the raw ingredients in Daniel Murad, they can then mould him and form him and enable him to get the best out of himself. I mean, we saw that move down the inside, a totally misjudged move, just locked it up, lost control, and literally the car was about 20 kilometres, 30 kilometres faster at the point of entry into the Towers on Hairpin. Unfortunately, he avoided all around him, but he's just got to learn to moderate that. He's got natural speed. He's a naturally sort of pugilistic style of race driver. If he can combine his power within himself and the power of the car going forward, he's going to do well for Lebanon.
Now, Earl Bamber for New Zealand, you just had a quick glimpse of him. He starts second on the grid. He finished second in the first race. He started second this morning for the sprint race, but funnily enough, he's now on the other side of the track, because if this had been under normal procedures, and of course if it hadn't been wet, it would have been a standing start, and they swapped the cars onto the other side of the track.
Yes, but under these circumstances now, it's really a mirror of what we saw for that sprint race a little bit earlier today. Hopefully anybody who was running either close, principally behind Adam Carroll in the Team Ireland car, will have learned that you've just got to be a little bit more careful. Simply Ireland were trying to get the jump on the New Zealand car, but Adam Carroll was too ambitious and too early in the race, and around she went.
Yeah, and that's what we're going to be watching out for in this race too. If it's even wetter now, so if you're a bit too early on the power with all of that 600 brake horsepower beneath your right foot, then you are definitely going to get into some trouble. One of the differences of this car, John, is that you have to left foot brake. In the old car you had the choice. You could either use your right foot to brake and accelerate, and now with this car you've got no option.
Yes, the car was designed very much with that in mind. There are two pedals, a throttle pedal and a brake pedal, and the brake pedal is now where traditionally you'd have the clutch pedal. In the old car we had a 3-pedal layout, but you could use your left foot or your right foot to do the braking. Since most drivers, contemporary drivers, and by that I mean the likes of Bamber and others who are 18, 19, 20 years of old age, they've come through karting, and then karting left foot braking is the normal. So it is actually more normal for a racing driver to brake with his left foot than the generation of drivers that I come from, or Emerson Fittipaldi, Alan Jones, Jan Lammers, others who are around A1GP on a regular basis. Our brain is a right foot brake. Youngsters today, they only think about it with the left foot.
Right, let's get back down to the grid, and here now from the...
Tony, the season continues in the 70 years.
Going to leave the grid momentarily. Plenty going on in preparation for the feature race. On the other side of the break, we'll bring you all the action live and uninterrupted from Holland. It has taken a logistical feat to get A1GP here in Zandvoort this weekend. Even the Dutch Air Force have given their approval to the weekend's racing action. 50,000 fans turned out despite the bad weather today, littering the sand dunes, giving their approval to A1GP's showing here for the third time in the series. Team Netherlands could only manage a 4th place finish in the sprint. Can they improve on that this time around? On pole for the feature, Team Malaysia, New Zealand starting 2nd, France in 3rd. Those brave fans. Zandvoort, Holland, all set for the first feature race. Let's hand you over to John Watson and Ben Edwards.
The first event of season 4 of A1GP World Cup of Motorsport, the first event for the all-new A1 car powered by Ferrari. And here we are on the coast of the Netherlands, a rather wet and windy coastal seaside resort of Zandvoort, but it always provides us with some action here, there's no doubt. And we're going to be looking now towards the feature race, the longer race, 40 laps or just over an hour, depending which comes first. Let's take a look at how the grid lines up, and it is as they finished that earlier sprint race here this morning, and that means that Team Malaysia, Faraz Fauzi's on pole. For Faraz, it's his first ever pole position in A1GP, and alongside him, the impressive young teenager from New Zealand, Earl Bamber, guiding the Black Beauty. On the second row, the experienced Loic Duval, and lots of experience too from Jeroen Bleekemolen. Neil Yarni's in there behind them, so's Adrian Zaub with Italy and USA. Charlie Kimball driving the American car. Portugal and Lebanon next up, followed by Australia and China. Watch out for China, fast in the first race. Brazil and Indonesia, Ireland and Monaco, they're back on row 8, and Korea brings up the back of the grid. Ireland therefore with lots to do, John, but as we've said, Adam Carroll is a potential winner, and we'll have to see what he does. So it's time to get everything underway with some of the ceremonial part of the start of A1 races.
Drie minuten te gaan.
Wilhelmus van Nassau ben ik van Duitsen bloed. Mijn vaderland getrouw blijf ik tot in den dood. Een prinsje van Oranje ben ik vrij onverweerd. De koning van Spanje heb ik altijd geëerd.
So Dutch duo Nick and Simon singing the national anthem, and the orange flags are flying as ever here. Lots of orange, supporting their orange car. Well, I wonder if Jeroen Bleekemolen's going to be able to get a podium finish starting from fourth, perhaps even go for that victory. It's been a while since the Dutch team won a race, there's no doubt about that. And of course, Bleekemolen himself was the last man to win for the Dutch team. That was in Beijing. And Jos Verstappen had that one victory in the first season of A1GP, but well, they'd love to add to that tally here today.
Well, I think there'll be a little bit of crossover of information amongst all the teams, particularly as this is the first round of the brand new car, brand new tyres, brand new engine, and the fact that Carlos Fauzi was able to find tyre temperature with the Malaysian car. I'm sure that information will be shared through the pit lane, but of course you've got to get the tyre temperature in the first place.
Autosportliefhebbers, ik vind het fantastisch dat jullie hier zijn. Hartstikke goed. Wij gaan genieten van een hele mooie race. En daarom zeg ik nu, gentlemen, for the pride of your nations, start your engines.
And the engines fire up those Ferrari power plants into action. And it's all a question of now trying to guide that 600 brake horsepower smoothly onto a very, very wet Zandvoort circuit. Now remember, we are starting behind the safety car, and as in the sprint race, as soon as they take off behind the safety car, the laps actually begin to tick away, the clock begins to tick. The race effectively does begin, but they're not allowed to overtake each other. They have to retain grid formation.
Yes, so the safety car at the field, ahead of the field, and very shortly it will be moving off. And they will then fall in line behind that safety car. When the safety car puts the lights out, peels off, then the racing will get underway, but you're not allowed to pass until you go past where the start line gantry is.
Everybody out there will be looking to see where the worst of the standing water is, trying to pick a line that might work once the safety car releases them. Away we go then, once again, the race starts under safety car, and the guys all just launching themselves off the line, getting a bit of a feel, trying to get some heat into these wet tyres. That is the challenge, particularly when you're going this slowly. You can't really develop any meaningful heat.
No, you won't, and all you'll do is sit behind the safety car. And I mean, the pace, even a high-performance car like the Ferrari 599 Berlinetta, the pace it will take the cars out is so far below the natural racing pace of these cars. That's what caught Adam Carroll out in the sprint race. He tried to begin a manoeuvre on the New Zealand car, and he just didn't have the temperature in the tyres, and once you break traction, break grip, then the car will just, it's just momentum is going to take the car around.
2 pit stops, as you saw, the pit windows from lap 8 to 16, and then from laps 26 to 34. But brand new cars, new equipment in terms of changing wheels as well, so the teams haven't had much chance to practice their pit stops, and that's going to be a very key part of what happens in this race, much like it was in the first season of A1GP, where often it was the wheel changes that determined the result.
Yes, I mean, watching some of the teams, they were practicing this morning when they were making those pit stops, and just simply the guys that are carrying the wheels and the air guns, the pit lane itself is quite slippery, and that's another factor to factor in. It'll take a lot of care coming into the pit lane not to come in that little bit too quickly and then lock a brake and run into potentially some of your team members. And also for the team members, when they're running around the car, they don't have the same level of grip that they have in the drive when they're doing it in the wet.
Absolutely right. Just ticking the cars off as they go around the track. We are missing Brazil, and I did think that was likely that Brazil were not going to be able to make the start of this race. I don't think we'll see them starting from the pit lane either. That accident that they had earlier, I think it was a pretty big impact.
Yeah, I mean, the hit on the left-hand side of the corner, that was at the top of turn 7, and there's a big impact, and then you can see the car just was deflected straight across the racetrack and ended up on the inside of turn 8, somewhat 200 metres from the point of the initial accident. So clearly more damage than was first thought to the Brazilian car.
Great shame, but all the other cars that were damaged earlier on are back out, I'm pleased to say. So Monaco on circuit, but starting down in 15th, Ireland down in 14th place. China, it turned out they'd only damaged the rear wing end plate after that fairly dramatic spin onto the start-finish straight.
Well, that actually was a pretty good result, because spinning coming off turn 16 inevitably results in you going across track and having heavy contact with the barrier on the inside of the corner. So for Hu Ping-tung, that was a pretty good result. I mean, only if he'd done it one lap later, then he could have actually found himself classified up in probably 6th place.
That's right, so it's good news that they've got their car back out. The Indonesia car's running fine, and everybody else is getting ready to go. You can see the anxiety, the nervousness that's down there in the pits, because it is such an unpredictable race in these kind of conditions. I mean, everybody knows, yeah, fingers crossed for Malaysia. They might have taken the win earlier on, and I know that another solid point-scoring result is all they're after. They're not being too greedy, but even that, it's not a given.
No, I mean, I saw Neil Yarney after the sprint race this morning, and I asked him what was visibility like, and he said coming down the main straight, if you're running close to another car, it's virtually zero going straight ahead. You've got to use your peripheral vision to pick up something that you remember. Well, that's 150 metres, or that's 200 metres. And I mean, in these opening laps, great care is going to be needed. We don't need to see another situation like Lebanon and Daniel Murad taking a lunge down the inside and just getting it wrong, and potentially getting away with it one time. Anybody else may not be quite so lucky if they were so in that position.
So Faraz Fawzi, he is renowned for his abilities in the wet weather, and working with new engineer Alan Mugglestone, they really came up with a fantastic setup for the sprint race, and you can look into his eyes as well. They've got the clear visors, some actually are running the yellow visors to try and increase the contrast, but great view of Faraz Fawzi as he searches around looking for where there might be grip and where to avoid the puddles.
Yeah, so they're just coming through turn 10, and we know on the outside to the right of the picture that earlier in the morning in a support race got covered in oil, and that's what took out a number of the cars later in the sprint race. So even the Malaysian crew very apprehensive, waiting for the start of this race, waiting for the lights and the safety car to go out. Still on as we come just about halfway around the lap, out of turn 11, making the way through the curve that is turn 12, and then the drop down into the downhill braking zone into turns 13 and 14. This is where we saw that wonderful attempt and then success by Earl Bamber for New Zealand and the much more experienced Jerome Bleekemolen. Lights out.
Yeah, lights are off on the safety car, and that means they will be going racing when they come around the final couple of turns. They're heading up towards that area now. Fawzi getting a little bit of wheel spin on purpose, trying to get those tyres up to temperature. What's the third car in the line? That's Team France. He was fastest in the sprint race, but he started back in 11th, so he had to work his way forwards. He could be a major threat. Coming through Ari Lyondike curve now, building up some speed, and they will come out of the final turn and start the feature race here at Zandvoort in pretty wet conditions. Just look at the spray, but we're racing, and it's Malaysia that leads, and New Zealand immediately having to defend to the inside, as France taking a little look down there, but deciding to come out of it and follow New Zealand through the first turn.
Fortunately, the line of cars sufficiently spread out to not have too much trouble into turn 1. Everybody seemingly getting down into the braking zone and around the Tarzan hairpin. Oh, and a big wobble for Netherlands going into turn 3.
That's how treacherous the conditions are, and it's Jeroen Bleekemolen looking for some grip as he comes through Hugenholtz. That's at the back of the paddock area. Now they accelerate out through these sweeping corners and trying to make a move there. USA, by the looks of things, Charlie Kimball, but New Zealand sitting in second place and under pressure from France, there's no doubt about it. But just look at that spray.
I mean, those are diabolical conditions. You can see from the camera, and the camera highlights the level of light that you've got, but what it doesn't do is tell you what it was like sitting in a car. Look right under the rear wing of the New Zealand car. Team France almost having to pull out to the left to avoid contact under braking into turn 9, but now coming up the inside. Can he get it done? He tried to do this with Switzerland earlier in the sprint race, but no way from Earl Bamber.
Did you see the puddle the French car went through? It absolutely threw the water up, and Duval really lost some time as a result.
Got a yellow flag out at turn 6 it is. So somebody may have gone off at turn 6 on the way out into the country.
So Duval lost time as a result of that. Look at them power boating their way around this track. Blake and Mullen now into, well, I'd say the slipstream, but it's just into a water shower more than anything else. Switzerland following, then South Africa behind, then Italy, and then Lebanon chasing. Portugal in the green and red colours. China followed through. Ireland there has got past Australia and gained some places. Monaco coming through, and then the others towards the back with Korea there. Just taking a look back, what can we find in the gloom here?
Oh, there we are, Team USA. Johnny Kimball, in fact, is up at turn 9, so he managed to spin the car for the USA. The entire field comes by. He's looking into their eyes. They're looking into his. He's got to wait. And Michael Andretti, well, that'll be disappointment for Michael, waiting in the pits to see maybe something a little bit better than the 8th place finish that they got in the sprint race.
I think France has got past New Zealand. Yes, France has taken 2nd place now. So up into 2nd place, Loic Duval. Now, can he go chasing after Malaysia? We saw how quick he was. Ireland, meanwhile, trying to get past China. Adam Carroll in the Irish car on the inside. The green colour scheme shining through this murk. Oh, and Hope Hinton's lost in it for the 2nd time today.
And that's up at, again, turn 3, and just illustrates how slippery it is. Didn't appear to do anything wrong, but just going into the corner, turning the wheel, probably still on the brakes, and the imbalance in the car just saw him slide round. Now we're going to have a localised yellow for sure, but whether he can keep the car going, whether he got his fingers onto the hand clutch. This car has got no clutch pedal. You've got to grab the 2 clutch levers, one on either side of the steering wheel, and I don't think that's the case. I think Hope Hinton has lost the engine.
New Zealand under pressure now from the Netherlands as well. Jeroen Bleekemolen trying to use his extensive track knowledge to his advantage. These two, of course, had that wonderful dice earlier in the sprint race, and now it looks as though Netherlands might just have the edge. But just look at that spray that they're throwing up. Take a little look back. This was France passing New Zealand.
Yeah, very straightforward pass. Got the run off turn 16, picked up whatever aerodynamic drag or slipstream there was, and easily gets past. This is going back to China just a moment ago into turn 3, and the car just, the back end just gets away. Probably just that little bit too quick on the point of turning in, and Ireland find themselves the beneficiaries, and they are now up to 11th place.
China rejoins. At least he's back into the race, and I tell you what, as long as you can stay on the lead lap in this kind of conditions, you can still produce a result out of nowhere. The important thing is to keep going. Meanwhile, France definitely getting closer to Malaysia. Malaysia leading, Faraz Fawzi with a little bit of an advantage, but France getting closer.
He was closer by 1.4 seconds.
Netherlands round the outside of New Zealand, and that's for 3rd, and Jeroen Bleekemolen gets New Zealand back for what happened earlier on, and there's some response from the crowd who have sat here in pouring rain waiting to see what will happen, and now Bleekemolen is producing some smiles again.
Well, the Netherlands team very happy. Robert Doornbos is here for the Netherlands team, and he is looking forward to getting his outing, which we understand may well take place in China in 1 month's time. But look, Jeroen Bleekemolen able to do something which he couldn't do in similar conditions in the sprint race. That's attack, and he's right now attacking. He's looking to find a way to close down the gap to France in 2nd place. Still the quickest car on the racetrack, but this lap from the Netherlands may well be the quickest lap with 36 to go.
Well, you've got to judge how hard to attack. Yes, Switzerland in very early. Now, what's going on here? There must be a problem for Neil Yarni. Has he had an incident? Has there something else gone wrong? He pulls into the pit box. They weren't expecting him, of course, at this early stage in the race. Taking a quick look around, there's a shake of the head from Neil. Oh, it's not looking good for the reigning title holders. And off is Ireland! Again, John. Ireland in trouble.
And this time they're not going to get out of the gravel, and Adam Carroll is beached, and that car will have to be pulled clear by, and what a disappointment. Ireland put so much into this, so confident and optimistic when they came here. They thought they could get at least 1 win, and didn't even start in effect the sprint race, and now within the space of 4 laps are out in effect of the feature race.
France looking good still in 2nd place. Any work going on around the Swiss car? Not that I can see. They're going to fire it up and try and send him out again. Let's see whether they're going to continue. Looks as though he's got problems changing gear or something.
I think water in the electronics could easily be one of the functions. There's so much water out there, and of course everything is sealed off with silicone grease, but it only takes one little drop of water and that's it. But right now Malaysia consolidating. They've had the fastest 2 sectors in that last lap, and they've still got a 1.7 second advantage over France.
So let's just update you. It's Malaysia leading, France in 2nd place, Netherlands 3rd. You're riding with Jeroen Bleekemolen in 3rd. New Zealand now in 4th, South Africa in 5th, Italy 6th, then it's Lebanon in 7th, and in the points at the moment in this early stage. Portugal 8th, Australia 9th, and Monaco in 10th, and of course Ireland in the gravel, so they're dropping out of the order, presumably out of the race.
I just thought I saw the back end of the Netherlands car taking an awful sideways step. It may just have been the impression through the spray, but it certainly looked very, very momentary, like it was a big, big off.
Well, he's kept control for the moment as they get that Irish car out of the way under yellows down there as the cars stream past. There's Earl Bamber driving for New Zealand. So far, so good from the youngster, and he made one mistake in practice. He lost control of the car down into the first corner, but no sign of that so far in these wet conditions. On board the race leader, and he is utterly focused. Listen up to the engine as well. Down the gears, of course, the paddle shift, making a sequential gearbox, making things easier in these conditions. Less danger of locking up.
But these conditions are much worse than they were in the sprint race. The fastest lap currently is a 1:48.8. The fastest lap in the sprint race, which went to France, was 3 seconds quicker.
Good driving again from Fauzi, John. Look at this. He's just over the white line a little bit, but nonetheless, he's opened up a fairly useful margin. Now, let's get some news from Ben Costanduris in the pits regarding Team Switzerland. What can you tell us, Ben?
Yeah, he's been sitting in the pits now for about a lap, just trying to find some gears. Just can't get any gears, can't select any. They seem to be there, but they're not selecting. And it looks like he's going to go back into the garage and out of the race. Unfortunate for Neil Jani, who had such a good run in the first race.
And we've got South Africa off, and who else is that with him? Just trying to see, is it the Lebanese? No, Italian car. The Italian car of Fabio Onidi is off with South Africa. Those guys were running 6th and 7th, so maybe they had a bit of a coming together in the battle for position.
Yeah, looks like it was down in turn 13. That's the part of the racetrack where we saw Earl Bamber make a wonderful move on the host nation, the Netherlands. Let's look and see again. Here they come. Oh, it's just Italy just drove straight into the back of the South Africa car, then clobbered it a second time. So just way misjudging the pace of South Africa. The car, watch again and see, comes down, tries to go down the inside. South Africa takes its natural line, and Italy had nowhere to go in a serious bang between the two nations. Both out, and well, we're just dropping out literally like flies, just partly because of misjudgments and pretty fundamental ones too. Oh dear me, that's a lot of damage to the side pod of the South Africa car, as well as damage done to Italy.
Oh, that is such a shame after all the hard work that all these guys have done over the last week or so. It's just so demoralising to see that, and the Italian car out of the race as well, and the rescue crews are going to try and get those cars out of the gravel trap so they can get the yellow flags withdrawn. But poor old Adrian's out there just jogging back. It's not been a very good day, not a very good weekend for him, I'm afraid. He did pick up 3 points for his 6th place finish in the sprint race. Remember, under the rules now, change of rules for this season, you can drop your worst weekend. You drop the whole weekend, you drop both race results effectively, and I think it may well be that South Africa will end up dropping their scores from here.
Yes, I think a lot of teams will take that opportunity, and it's one of the rule changes which is going to give everybody a little bit of a break. In other words, they can drop what is a poor score and consolidate the best of the rest. So, with 33 laps to go, going on to lap 7, Farouz Fawzi looks very comfortable. He's able to control the pace. He's now up to 2.5 seconds ahead of France. The Netherlands have dropped back behind France, but I thought they were going to have a run, but they're now back to just over 3 seconds behind Team France in 3rd place.
Watch the eyes here as he guides the car through one of the fastest sections, looking ahead as far as he can. Of course, he does have the advantage that there isn't a car in front, so he's not having to drive into the spray of other cars. And if you look at that visor, John, you can see that because it's not being splattered too much, is he?
No, and of course he's got a tear-off on the visor, and if you're following another car, then liquid or water gets down between the tear-off and the main visor screen itself, which in itself is not particularly enjoyable, but he's got that tear-off. That'll come off at some point in the race, and he'll have then another clean screen to see even more. But when he makes his first pit stop, which he's bound to do between laps 8 and 16, then he's going to go back out into the field and will be behind other cars, of which most will be slower than he is.
Drive-through penalty has been given to Team China. We're not sure what it's for yet. It may have been something to do with the way he rejoined, perhaps, after his spin earlier, but that's just conjecture for the moment. But he will have to come through the pits on a drive-through penalty. There you are, looking at New Zealand. I thought he was coming in a bit quick. He may get away with this. Oh, just.
Well, he's had the early bath, that's for sure.
Yeah, that will be feeling pretty miserable, getting a lot of water dumped into his lap, but he's still there. He's running in 4th position. New Zealand in 4th, the Netherlands in 3rd, and ahead of them still France and our race leader Malaysia.
Yeah, let's look again and see Earl Bamber just a little bit too quick in. You can see he's trying to feed the car in, feel the car in. over the gravel, then through the water splash. There it goes. One of the problems with carbon fibre tubs is they give drivers a huge amount more security and safety, but if water gets in, it never gets out. He'll have to sit in that water for the remaining part of this race, 52 minutes or 32 laps.
Taking a look at Lebanon here in the points in 5th place. Now, this is more like it, Daniel Morad. You've got to keep it together. You're looking for the first ever points for the only nation representing all the Arab nations in A1GP World Cup of Motorsport, but it is tough out there. And this youngster, he's done well in the past in the junior categories, Formula BMW in the United States, he's won that title. He's been racing Formula Atlantic, in fact, this year in the States, up against Nigel Mansell's sons, amongst others, and he's been doing pretty well in that series, and here he is now in A1GP.
Well, there's no question, in my mind, he's got a lot of natural ability, but he doesn't seem to know where to sort of control it. He just drives beyond. There's another driver running directly behind Portugal, Philippe Albuquerque, somebody who also only got his car literally at the last knockings on Friday night. And Philippe Albuquerque was one of those drivers we were very impressed with as he came into A1GP to conclude the 3rd series.
First pit window is open. I wonder whether we'll see people come in early. Looks like Australia are going to come in early, and they are often the fastest of the guys in the pits. They have a very well-drilled crew, and they're very quick with their pit stops. But Australia at the moment running in 7th place. They are behind this group that we're looking at, Lebanon, Portugal, but in the background, about 9 seconds back actually, is Team Australia.
I just wonder at the wisdom of coming in early. You're on wet weather tyres, you're trying to get those tyres to temperature. Would it not be wiser to run to the end of the pit stop window before you make your pit stop? Because when you go out on a new set of tyres, they will take then time to get back up to temperature. And the hope is, as Malaysia's in as well, so they're the first car in. Maybe the thinking behind it is that you might have a track that has actually begun to improve. Just wait and see. Malaysia clearly, like Australia, feel come in at the earliest opportunity. The reason they do this in reality is because should there be a safety car intervention,
they've got a problem, John.
Left rear
is slow. He's got it done. He's got it done. They lost a bit of time. Now, the Dutch car was in at the same time. They might be able to pick up a bit of ground on Malaysia here. But they also, let's just see, oh no, they've got a problem with the right rear. That's a little bit slow. He hasn't got it done up yet. Come on, come on, come on. He's trying to get that air gun to work. No, it won't work.
No, it's not the nut. He's got a problem with the nut. So there we see Lebanon goes out as well, and
good stop for Lebanon.
Big changes going on these pit stops. Problem with the Netherlands car. They've lost position. They've lost a lot of time. So back out onto the racetrack. And in fact, going out behind, I think that is, I'm not sure it's Indonesia, they're going out behind as well.
Lebanon, I think it was Lebanon who made a very good stop. Australia, what is their stop like? Not bad. And they get their car underway. And France lead this race now. They've not been into the pits yet. So France are our new race leaders. They will be running ahead of New Zealand now because they've not been into the pits either. But we have seen Malaysia and the Netherlands in, and it was a slow stop, as we saw for Team Netherlands.
Now, the only issue about not coming in at the earliest opportunity is that if you go deeper into the pit stop window and there is a safety car intervention, then your gamble will be lost.
Oh, just running on the curb, but that was okay for Duval. He seemed to have that under control. France seems to be leaving their man out a little bit longer. Yep, he's staying out again for another lap. Great opportunity, this.
Yes, indeed, and I mean, this is what I was trying to sort of allude to. If you've got a car which is working well on the tyres, you take the gamble about a safety car being called out against the driver on a set of tyres with which he's comfortable, has got temperature in, and now that you're in the lead of the race, as Duval is, he is running, well, his best lap currently is 1:48.3 against the time of Malaysia, but there again, back, left rear, right rear corner, and it's that wheel nut, they're taking the nut off and putting another one on, and well, the time loss, we wait for the cars to cycle their way through before we see where, in fact, the Netherlands car will actually be.
Good drill, though. They were ready for that. They had the backup wheel nut. They were ready to do it. And the other guy coming in to help him, China, making a pit stop as well. In fact, they've done their drive-through already, and now they've been back in, and that's for their official tyre change stop. But look how he comes out behind Malaysia. Presumably he's going to be a lap down. Yes, I think he's a lap down on those guys because of his drive-through.
So we wait to see as the race leader still yet to make a pit stop.
Watch his technique when we get a chance, John. He really uses the front tyres to sort of slow the car almost. He's getting a feel for the grip. Interesting driving style from Duval. Meanwhile, a little battle that's going on back between Indonesia and Korea just here. And this is for 10th place. These two guys are dicing for. Remember, the man for Korea, Jinwoo Hwang, having his debut in the series.
Well, really, both of them struggling to get traction and running very closely indeed And both need to be very careful that one little mistake by one or the other. Correa going up the inside to take that position away.
Yeah.
So Correa, courage from Jin Woo of Wang.
Oh, he nearly lost it.
Well, are you surprised? He probably thought, I've passed a car. But Indonesia is coming in.
So two great Asian nations going wheel to wheel, and it's Korea who managed to get past, and that puts him up into 10th position. Remember, we've seen some stop, and that was Indonesia coming in to make their pit stop behind. On board with the Netherlands. Now after their first pit stop, they're down in 8th position. A few cars ahead of them that haven't stopped, but as we know, they did lose valuable time. Satrio Hermanto for Team Indonesia then making the stop. Let's hope that one goes without a problem. Fronts get on pretty quickly, the rears are on. And away he goes.
Well, that was the team I actually watched during their practice stops this morning. And a well-drilled team by Dave Luff, former Formula 1 mechanic, and the team did it. It was one of those pit stops of more haste, less speed, and no mistakes made, no problem with wheel nuts. So Indonesia go out, and they will benefit from that in the overall scheme of things.
New Zealand running second now, so they have not been into the pits for their stop yet. Earl Bamber is running some 9.5 seconds, quite a long way behind Team France. It's France with a very healthy advantage currently from New Zealand in second, and with Portugal not having stopped yet, they are now sitting third, courtesy of Philippe Albuquerque. So you've got a bit of a difference in strategy going on here between some of the top teams. Some of them have gone for the early pit stop. Now they have to stop before lap 16. At the moment, we're on lap number 12.
Yes, it's a gamble that teams are going to take. I think personally this was the right gamble to take. I'd rather keep my driver out on a set of tyres with if he's comfortable and his lap times are competitive lap times, leave him out, bring him in at the last opportunity, and then worry about the next sector between the first end of the first pit stop window and the beginning of the opening of the second.
The rain is still pouring down here at Zandvoort. The conditions are not getting any better at all. Just so wet out there. But Earl Bamber for New Zealand, belying his lack of experience in a big, powerful car like this, looks as though he was born to drive one of these 600 horsepower Ferrari-powered machines, and having taken second place earlier on, he's sitting second at the moment, and actually he gained a bit on France on that last lap. He gained a few tenths, about 4/10 of a second.
Yeah, France's last lap wasn't a particularly good one. As we look at Levin and Daniel Murad, now this is going to be excitement somewhere. Well, again, pretty good reactions, kept the car in control.
And he's got Netherlands breathing on down his neck. That's perhaps why he's trying a bit harder, because after that pit stop, Lebanon gained the place from Netherlands. Lebanon running 6th now, and Netherlands down in 7th.
And Netherlands running about a second and a half, a lap quicker than the Lebanese car. And I mean, I was just trying to find out what the Malaysia car is doing. Well, in fact, Malaysia had a bad last lap as well. So whether that's catching up and getting caught in traffic, I suspect that's what's possibly happening to France, and certainly I think is happening to Malaysia.
And that was the other thing, with Malaysia making an early pit stop, they lost that advantage of clear track, which they were enjoying. So again, France now have gained that advantage.
Well, that's why I thought that Malaysia might opt to keep Faraz Fawzi out as long as possible. As long as you've got control of the racetrack, and that's what they did do, take advantage of it, run it to the limit of the pit stop window. The only downside, as I mentioned, is simply the safety car intervention.
Again, Daniel Murad having to react quickly to the car as it almost got out of shape, the same place that Ho Pin Tung had his spin earlier. And there's some young fans who are enjoying themselves despite the weather conditions, particularly now that Blake Mullen is attacking Team Lebanon.
But the problem that Blake Mullen has now got, of course, is that he's now being slowed down. He's running at the pace of the Lebanese car, running in dense spray. So his momentum has gone. The momentum that carried him all the way up to the rear of the Lebanese car, that's been lost. All he can hopefully do is put a pressure onto Lebanon, put his car in the mirrors as best you can, and frankly, I doubt Daniel Murad's paying too much attention, but Murad's slow through turn 10. This is a chance for Netherlands to get up, to try and go the long way around turn 11, and well, doesn't seem to be showing cuts, makes the cut back, tries to cut down the inside. Possible he's alongside, he's got the momentum and the drive and has taken the position.
Good stuff from Blake Mullen. That was good track knowledge. I'm sure Murad will try, and Carl, no boys, don't make contact. You don't need to be doing that. And they just about get away with it.
I just wonder, I mean, it's track awareness, car awareness. or just simply does he get a big red mist? I think he might just get a big red mist.
Well, he didn't need to really fight back like that at that point, because otherwise he's in danger of losing what could be a tremendous result. He's still well placed here. Let's take a look at it.
Yeah, again, Netherlands' car got the advantage out of turn 11. Moran stuck his car down the inside, almost into locking wheels. Fortunately, no damage that we can see, but it just shows you the momentum and the spirit that he has. This young driver from the Lebanon, or Lebanese background, and prepared to go wheel to wheel and stick it down the outside of turn 13.
So the two of them get away with it. Netherlands up into 6th position now, having made their pit stop, but they're still behind USA. So USA also gained on Netherlands in that last round of pit stops because they had that problem with the rear wheel. And Charlie Kimball's the next one that he's got to try and get past.
Just looking a bit further around the racetrack, France has got a 23.5-second advantage over Malaysia, who did dominate the early part of this race. There we see Loic Duval. He's got 3 laps at the end of this lap to make his pit stop. Is he going to come in? No, it is. France are coming in. So 23.8 seconds was the advantage when they went across the line the last time. Can he come into the pit stop, make the wheel and tire change, and get back out before this driver? This is the car really that may well be in contention to take back the lead of this feature race.
Absolutely, this is the one he's racing against. They had the lead before the pit stop, and into the pits right now. France run out from the pit garage. They have to stay in the pit garage until the car comes to a complete halt. Then they go to work. The limited number of people that are allowed to work on the car.
Wheel rolling out into the centre of the pit lane.
Yeah, that's not good news. They've got to try and get that under control. Looking good, looking good. Yeah, that was a smooth stop for Team France. They've had their problems in the past, but that was a good one.
France should get out of the pit lane, depending just where they are there. He has, so they've kept the lead, the advantage of staying out longer than Malaysia, who came in at the earliest opportunity, has played to their advantage. And also, to some degree, for El Bamber in New Zealand, he's going to find himself a little bit closer to the Malaysian car than he would have done if he'd come in early.
Yeah, I think he's going to rejoin effectively in 3rd position. Just trying to see where Portugal is. I think Portugal a little further behind. So New Zealand rejoining in 3rd, and the race now maintaining the lead, in fact, is Team France after their pit stop. So good work by the French crew, good strategy as well. Now, what's been going on in the gloom? This is Indonesia, Satrio, and he's hit the barrier hard.
Yeah, that's the same place that Brazil got caught out. There's water that runs across the track on the entry up into turn 7. It's a high speed, effectively a flat-out approach, and that's a heavy damage to the right rear corner. And Netherlands back in and out.
It's all over, is it, for the Dutch team? I can't believe it. He's signalling furiously at them. He's lost gears as well. It looks like the same thing that's happened to Yanni.
Oh. Well, I don't know why he came in. He had a remonstration with the team, and he's absolutely stoked. Can't believe it. Look, gets the power on. Car snakes under power. Don't know what the problem was, whether again it is a gear selection problem, but whatever it is, that's a very, very unhappy. I've never seen Jeroen Bleekemolen so emotional, so upset, and back on track. Just calm down. Don't lose your head on the racetrack.
Well, drama indeed for the host nation, and he's got himself going. Let's see if we can hear what's happened with Jan Lammers.
Jan, could you explain that confusion there?
Well, the water is giving us some trouble because the shifting wasn't working anymore, and there's a connector on the steering wheel that should connect, and I think the water just screwed things up, so it didn't work. That's why he came in to change the steering wheel, but it appears to be working again.
So we might see him back in later?
Sorry, man.
He might have a problem again, the same thing?
He might, but now we have a spare steering wheel.
Thank you, Jan.
Well, that was drama indeed. I'm not quite sure what the problem was, why he was remonstrating quite so much. They put the steering wheel on.
Team France under investigation. That, I suspect, was because one of the front wheels rolled away from the car and rolled technically out of the pit box that the car has to work in. So that might be a penalty for Team France. That we saw just the bottom of the screen, and we'll have to wait and see.
In the meantime, Portugal has taken the lead of the race, it says on our timing screen. What's going on? I can't believe that's right, so we'll have to check that. Maybe there's water in the timing as well. We'll have to wait and see on that.
It's certainly getting into the microphone in the pit lane. I mean, the rain has been remorseless all day, and of course rain and racing cars and electronics. Oh, his career is off the track. I think this is the final time. No, it's not. He's got it running again.
No, but he's now got it stuck, John.
He's got to stuck the belly of the car. Oh, and Portugal, massive accident for Portugal. And that is that down at the tires that happened? We can't tell, but that is a massive accident for Philippe Albuquerque. Well, whereabouts on the racetrack? We wait to see where it is.
No, it's a faster section, isn't it? Up the back, isn't it? Coming down into Skyvak, isn't it? After the sweepers.
I mean, it looks like it. Yes, let's look into it again. It is again. Oh, wow, a big heavy impact again, slamming into the barrier on the outside of the racetrack. And again, the rivulet of water that's now a major stream, if not big, heavy impact for 2 cars up there. Brazil in the morning. Now, this is the incident we saw in the replay. Again, water running across right on the apex, and Korea getting caught by that. So the rain is continuing to fall, and it's taking its toll. Safety car has been deployed. 2 cars, the Portuguese car, heavy impact up at the exit of turn 7. And we're waiting to see now get this Korean car towed to safety, but looks is okay. Philippe Albuquerque, but he'll be sorted out. That was a severe impact on the right rear corner of the car.
Oh, desperately disappointing for Team Portugal. They've been one of those really burning the midnight oil to get that car prepared. Safety car on standby, and I think it will be coming out to try and pick up race leader Team France. It is France that still leads this race. Malaysia running in second. Of course, this will bring them all close together once again. New Zealand in third, and Lebanon now, John, running in 4th place. So that's something to watch out for.
Well, just that waved yellow flag up at turn 7. I hope everybody takes great attention, because there's vehicles up there. There's a crane to pull that car to safety. There's trucks again in turn 10. That flood that was on the apex is now extending its way sort of out into the middle of the racetrack. Loic Duval tippy-toes his way around. He wants to maintain that sort of pace. He said he's got a rhythm going, and it's important not to let that rhythm drop off, because if you drop off the rhythm, you'll lose concentration. But more importantly, you'll probably lose whatever tire temperature you've got. But look at the rain as you come down. Again, floods now on the inside of 13, having to go wide on the exit of 14 to try and find some grip somewhere around this track.
Yeah, the weather conditions have just been appalling. The rain has been coming down heavily for several hours now, and you can see again he does that on purpose. Interesting, he loves using that curb on the outside.
Well, if he can make it work for him, that's fine, as long as he goes on to it with the car parallel to the racetrack, parallel to the gravel trap on the outside, he'll be fine.
Safety car sees that, or hears that the leader is on the main straight and is ordered to get out there and lead them around. So we're under safety car conditions with 23 laps to go, and let's just quickly update you on the positions as they stand. It's France leading. Malaysia have crossed the line in 2nd place, waiting for New Zealand now to cross the line in 3rd. Lebanon's running 4th. Australia is running 5th now for John Martin. 6th place for USA. They're getting the Korean car back underway. And by the way, let's get down to the pits and hear now from Neil Yarney.
So Neil, what happened to you?
At a good start, I think it was looking good for a good race, but then I lost my gears, upshift. I just couldn't upshift anymore.
What are the conditions out there? How difficult is it?
I didn't get the whole question.
How are the conditions out there? How difficult is it?
It's very wet. It's unbelievably wet. A lot of aquaplaning. The visibility on the start was like 0. I was just watching the wall on the right side and checking where could I brake, but I couldn't see nothing. So, well, as soon as everything got a bit out of each other, it was better.
Thank you.
A disappointed Neil Yarney, and the defence of the title has not started particularly well here for Team Switzerland, and we're yet to see a nation successfully defend an A1 title.
Yeah, you can see the water running across the racetrack. That's what caught out Philippe Albuquerque coming up to the top of turn 7. Then you have that drop down, and again more rivulets of water running across. And it's what's making it so difficult for drivers, because they go through one lap and it's drivable, it's acceptable. The next time through, they're getting caught out by the fact that just that much more water is running across the track. Now, we've got 23 laps to go, but we've only got just under 34 minutes of this race remaining, and we're not going to see this race go the full distance of 40 laps, and we don't know how long we're going to see the safety car out on track. They're certainly going to draw the field all back together, and that's going to give people like Barros Fauji in Malaysia, El Bamber and New Zealand, and also the China car that's running a bit further down the field, so it's in 9th place. Yes. Yeah. So the field will be drawn together. We don't know how long the safety car will remain. It will be there, no doubt, until race director is satisfied the circuit is in a condition fit to go motor racing with again. And the problems that everybody faced at the start of this race when we had that standing or that rolling start, well, once again, everybody behind Team France is now going to have to contend with a lack of visibility.
I tell you what, it might help the Dutch car a bit, because they had to make that extra pit stop to sort the steering wheel out, if that is okay now. seems to be running all right at the moment. He's down in 7th place, is Jeroen Bleekemolen, but of course they'll all be brought up close to one another, and that give him every chance to go on the attack of USA, Australia, Lebanon, who are all running ahead of him.
Yes, it's a lot of ifs and buts, and it's just over half an hour of this race remaining, and an awful lot can happen. You're on lap 19 right now. The pit stop window will open up in a further 7 laps, so it doesn't seem that long ago for the pit stop window closed on lap 16. They're now running under safety car for 2 laps. The field once again going to compact. If you look at Team USA, Charlie Kimball got back on track again.
Yeah, he had that spin early in the race, didn't he? But actually he's done all right since then. He's running in 6th place, so useful points on offer for Team USA if he can keep it there.
Listen, I bet you when he was facing the track and the cars coming towards him, he'd have taken 6th place if you offered it up to him.
Yeah, well, that's where he's running, but he will have the Dutch car behind him when they all get together again, and that could make life a bit more difficult, because we know Bleekemolen is lapping the track pretty fast. It's just a question of whether that problem with the electronics on the steering wheel is fully sorted or whether it recurs later in the race. So it's France leading the pack behind the safety car, Malaysia sitting second, then New Zealand, forget the yellow and red car of China, and Korea as well actually in there. They're both a lap down, so we can forget about them. So it's then Lebanon running in 4th, and then Australia in 5th position ahead of USA. So USA in 6th place, as we said. That's got to be encouraging for Andretti Green Racing, who are having their first ever A1GP event, and no doubt after that earlier spin, fairly pleased with what Charlie's doing.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it is a real baptism of rain. It's been the most difficult conditions. I mean, had this been the last race of the series where everybody was familiar with the cars and had the benefit of a season running, that's one thing, but doing the first round of Series 4 in these conditions, that's diabolical.
Well, let's go and find out from the man himself, Michael Andretti, on the pit wall.
Michael, it's really great to see you here. Happy birthday as well. How do you think Charlie's getting on out there?
He's doing good. You know, he had one little spin there, but now this yellow, packs us up again. So we're back in the fight. So not too bad.
How does it feel racing back in Europe again? Because it's been a long time now.
Yeah, it's been a long time. It feels good to be back here in this way, and I wish the weather was a little bit better, but that's the way it is.
I guess you wouldn't want to be out there, would you?
No, I'm very happy to be sitting here.
Thanks very much, Michael.
Thanks.
Thanks, Ben. Well, the safety car is coming in, so we're going to go racing. Oh, and we've got a little bit of bunching going on here.
Well, what happened? The safety car slowed everybody down so much that some drivers overreacted, and then the cars behind had to pull out and pass. And I don't know whether that was the responsibility of France backing it all up and then getting on it and going, or whether that occurred slightly further back in the pack. I think it was further back in the pack, in fairness.
Well, France has certainly made it work for them, John. He's got a big lead over Malaysia as they head down into the first corner through the gloom. It's New Zealand in 3rd, China a lap down, remember. So then it's Lebanon coming through. They've got ahead of that lapped car of Korea, and then there's the Dutch car with the orange machine of Team Netherlands. That's the one perhaps to watch over the next few laps, as Australia as well, trying to get past that lapped car of Korea.
Yes, and that's going to be a little frustration because it's difficult visibility. Being running so close to a car that you are ahead of on the road, but he probably isn't fully aware. He thinks a car behind me and going to race it.
No, that's right. It's confusing when you've got cars that are a lap down or so. But this is giving the Netherlands a huge opportunity, because it's now brought him right up to the back of both the United States car and Jackaroo, the yellow and green Australian machine. John Martin's usually pretty good in the wet conditions. He's driving well so far, but he needs to try and get past that Korean car as quickly as possible, so he's not put under too much threat by Team USA and Team Netherlands. Leaders coming through the back section of circuit, and France using that advantage once again of good visibility.
Yes, I mean, that is the main perk of having the opportunity to lead, and now Farouz Fawzi, who enjoyed that in the early part of this race, having to run in the spray of the France car, and Loic Duval, who was so impressive early this morning, again equally impressive in these difficult conditions. Earl Bamber, you have to say, really in many respects has been the star of the weekend for me, showing great maturity from somebody only 18 years of age.
And the Dutch car has got ahead of USA. They've both got past Korea, as has Australia. So one place gained by the Netherlands there. That puts him into 6th.
Yeah, but Jeroen Bleekemolen almost making a meal of it down in 13 and 14, almost allowing Charlie Kimball for the USA to get back and take that position back again.
Blake Mullen really chucking the car in a bit harder now as he wants to work those tyres and get the most out of them, more like the sort of style we've seen from Loic Duval, who's very good at that, really works the tyres hard, maintains the tyre temperature, and that's why, part of the reason why I'm sure that Loic Duval is leading this race, using all of his experience of racing in Japan extensively over the last few years as well.
1.9 seconds on that last lap. That was the speed advantage that France had over Malaysia in second place. Let's look again and see how those overtakes took place. The orange car of the Netherlands going the wrong way around, cuts back over there. Charlie Kimball almost loses the back of the USA car, and that was the momentum that gave the opportunity to the Netherlands to sweep by, and a nice easy sweep pass for Jeroen Bleekemolen.
So now Bleekemolen is trying to get past Australia. There you see the two cars. John Martin's driving for Team Australia. Had a good result here, Australia, a couple of years ago when Ryan Briscoe actually beat the Dutch car in the very last lap of the race. So we've seen a contest between these two here at Zandvoort in the past, and now it's on again, but this time it's for 5th place.
And all around the quicker parts of this racetrack, you've just got to keep your station. It's going to be coming into corners like turn 10, though, with the water on the apex of the corner. Everybody very cautious. Here into turn 11, we've seen that's been a popular overtaking pace on the circuit. There you can see the lighter part of the tarmac. That gives some people grip, other people stay wide of it, seeking the grip that is available on the outside of the corner.
Yeah, and it looked like Charlie or Kimball there when he had a problem. Obviously, he found the grip initially, but when the track changed surface again, suddenly the car broke away from him.
Oh yes, you've got to remember Kimball again oversteering in the first part of this complex of turns 13 to 14.
That's Monaco.
Yes, little drive over Clivio Piccioni. We haven't seen very much of the Monaco car. Slides the car under power on the exit of turn 14. In frustration, I suspect.
Yeah, he's running in 8th place, so of course that yellow has certainly helped him as well. It's caught him up to that particular group. He was in trouble in the first part of the race, so that's why he dropped back, but got a lot of experience as Piccioni, and he's shown some good form in wet conditions in the past, so let's just keep an eye on him as well. But no doubt John Martin's done a couple of good laps there. He's managed to ease away from the Dutch car of Jeroen Bleekemolen, and Bleekemolen hasn't made the sort of progress I thought that yellow flag might allow him to. They're not far behind Lebanon, still running in 4th place, but remember it's still France leading this race with 19 laps to go, and we're about 3 laps away from the pit lane opening up again.
Yeah, they're going to be opening up on lap 26, so we're now on lap 22. But the problem that Jeroen Bleekemolen has is the same old chestnut. You've got your momentum when you're driving on your own. When you catch up to another car, then you lose it and you get caught, you get trapped in the spray of the car. If you haven't timed it or worked it out as to the best possible place for you, then that's how you go. So sometimes fall back again, then take another charge up and try and time your strengths against the point of the track that the car you're overtaking is at its weakest.
Clivio Piccioni there, and we can get some news on Team Monaco. Actually, you can see there's some damage on that car. Let's get some news from Ben in the pit lane.
Yeah, exactly right, Ben. Damage to the Monaco car, the front wing on the right-hand side. The end plate that actually creates the downforce is missing, so he's going to be struggling with that car. The front end won't dig in as much as he will want in these wet conditions where you'd run maximum downforce. And unfortunately, we can't replace it either, so he's going to have to stick with that for the rest of the race. Monaco just discussing about what they're going to do next.
Okay, thank you for that. When the pit lane opens, I would imagine he'd be one of the first ones to come in.
Yeah, I think the race stewards and race director will be looking at that as well, wondering is that potentially a hazardous situation. That would just be fly off. Would it get into the path of an oncoming car, or what would it do? But we are within almost just over a lap now for the pit lane window beginning to open up. So they may just let them stay out and hope that it stays on the car.
Meanwhile, France leading the race and Malaysia both going quickly at the moment. France has just set a new fastest lap, but Malaysia not far behind, a couple of tenths of a second slower, and both of them much quicker than anyone else.
Yeah, I mean, they're running now in the middle of 147, so everybody else is running probably in the high to middle 149. So these two drivers at a different level, and even Earl Bamber, who's really been running with this group of leading cars, dropping back by about, just under 2 seconds a lap.
Here we are with Loic Duval then, the race leader. Just watch his style, watch how he turns into the corners.
Yeah, he makes a very sharp, abrupt turn, gets the front wheels actually sliding, but he still is able to get the car to turn. Primarily he keeps the back of the car, I was going to say keeps the back of the car stable. There you saw on 11, a little bit of a fidget from the rear tyres, just wanting to get away, brake traction, but he has got that sort of style in the wet, where he turns the wheels in those corners certainly quicker than we're seeing from others.
Yes, that's right. Depends on the corner, depends on the speed of the corner there. Turns in quite hard behind him. Here we are on board with Faris Fawzi. Good contest this between the two of them in absolutely treacherous conditions. Again, look at the eyes as he glances down at the steering wheel to see what the instruments are recording. There's Lebanon running very strongly in fourth, but Australia not far behind, as you could see there. So at the moment, Daniel Morad is holding fourth, but John Martin's catching.
Yeah, Daniel Morad had a poor lap on the previous lap. He was basically 1.5 seconds slower on that. That may have been a driving error. It may have been just simply that he's not able to maintain the pace that John Martin behind, but John Martin will know from the pit board because he probably really cannot see the car ahead of him. He doesn't know whether that's a lap car or whether that's a car he's in competition with. He'll rely on the information from the pit board and also from the two-way radio.
Absolutely, and in fact on that last lap the Australian car was only a tenth faster than the Lebanon car, so it was obviously a little mistake or something on the previous lap that cost him dear, but nonetheless it's still much the same situation with Lebanon running fourth, very much on target for their first ever points. Not only that, they wouldn't need much, something go wrong with one of those top three cars in the next pit stop, for example. Lebanon could be on for a podium here.
Well, anything is possible. These races, they're unpredictable, and that's what I enjoy about wet weather racing, particularly if the track does begin to finally show some indication of drying out. I have to say, looking out from our commentary booth, there's little prospect of that. Right. There's Monaco in, and they've come in on lap 24. They haven't been able to make that tyre change, so that's an additional stop for the Monaco entry, and that's going to drop them down through the standings.
Yep, so that's disappointing for Monaco. They've had a bit of a tough baptism as well, haven't they, into the world of A1GP. Did very well in qualifying, though, to be top 5 in their first ever event. Well, that is certainly something to celebrate. Might have had a tough day today, but they'll go away having learnt a huge amount.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of experience with Clevo Piccioni, and jumping into this car, a driver at that level is able to adapt very quickly indeed. What will be interesting to see. Oh, and around it goes, and that was Lebanon. And Australia takes that place away. That was fourth place that Lebanon has just given up by that careless moment down in turn 13. John Martin saw it, he positioned his car, drove around the outside of the Lebanon car, and Daniel Morad has given up one place just through a little bit of carelessness.
But he's still there, he's still in the fight, and he could still score points. Let's take another look.
Yes, down under braking, turns in, runs wide, and gradually around it goes. Got it going again, and was... Well, you know, how close was that to actually retaining it? Yeah. But John Martin won round the outside. There's more bite around the outside of turn 14 anyway. And there you see the oversteer coming again, turning in probably under the brakes. He should have been braking a little earlier and settled the car and then enter the corner under a fraction of power.
Well, he's still there, but Australia, there's a little relief for them because they've moved up into fourth position now. It's been a tough weekend for those boys, but now they're looking to maybe get something out of it. 16 laps to go, long way to go still, but remember those good pit stops that they can deliver, that might help them move up a bit further. Team USA, meanwhile, here running in 7th place.
Yeah, there's a bit of a change because the Netherlands were showing in the last lap of being ahead of the USA. Now the positions on the track are actually reversed. So that was at the end of lap 24. We don't know whether that was an overtake or we just the timing and scoring has yet to catch up.
No, I think he has been past. Looks like maybe the Dutch car had a problem on the last lap, or maybe Blake Mullen had a mishap because he's, I think, dropped.
It would have happened in the Tarzan Herpen or between Tarzan and all the way up to the Hugenholz corner. So short space of track that what was on the 24th lap position was different as they came out of Hugenholz. There it is.
Well, it was a straightforward pass.
I think that was a problem for the Netherlands. I think they may well have been struggling a little bit with what they struggled with earlier when they had to make a pit stop and change the steering wheel.
Yeah, quite possibly maybe a gear change problem again. And look how quickly USA has opened up a bit of a gap there. There is a steering wheel being prepared. There's a spare steering wheel ready for the Dutch car when he makes his pit stop. And of course now with 25 laps completed, there's just one more lap to go before they can start making their pit stops.
About 15 laps to go, 19 minutes remaining. So again, it's either going to be a timed race plus a lap. I doubt we're going to see 15 laps of this race completed.
You can really hear there, he's in a high gear by the sound of it. It was very low revving. I mean, this engine has massive amount of torque, but even so, he needs a few more gears there, I think.
Well, you don't want 600 horsepower in these conditions. You're with the engine running up towards its maximum RPM. You want to put it into a higher gear and use that torque and use the smoothness of that Ferrari engine to pull you through the corner without an abrupt snap of traction at the rear of the car.
I'm sure he's struggling for gears. That's what it's about. He's not got the range of gears that he would normally have, and that's dropped him down then to 7th position now. France still lead this race, remember. We've got 15 laps to go. Malaysia running second, some 6 3/4 of a second behind. Then it's New Zealand in 3rd, Australia now in 4th, Lebanon in 5th place, United States in 6th, Netherlands in 7th, and Monaco still running in 8th.
And look at the stream of water, especially coming up through turns 5, 6, up the top of the hill, that's turn 7, then dropping down. I mean, there's a huge amount of standing water at what is one of the quickest parts of the racetrack.
Yeah, so Blake Mullen fighting the water, fighting a car that's not running quite as well as it should be. Now, we've got some radio from on board that car. This was just a moment ago. Let's listen.
Out like this, I can't do a lot. I mean, it's stuck in 5th or 4th the whole time.
Well, there we go, confirmation. Stuck in 5th or 4th all the time, he said.
Yes, it's a big handicap, but you know, you've got to use what you've got, and your own Blake Mullen as a driver have a huge amount of experience, probably one of the most experienced drivers anywhere in A1GP, and just he'll have to drive around it. That's all he can do until that pit stop window opens for him to come in, and which should be open now, so he'll probably come in at the earliest convenience.
New fastest lap by this car, in 2nd place at the moment, but he's just set a new fastest lap, 1:47.232, and that's about 7/10 quicker on that particular lap than Loic Duval, but there is still a 6-second gap between them. So the next pit stop, which is coming up very soon, is absolutely crucial.
Now, we did know that there was an investigation into Team France. We never found out if there was a conclusion to that. I suspect that was due to the pit stop when one of the front wheels ran away from the pit garage, the pit box. We wait to see whether there will be any action taken on that. But is that the gap? Was that the France car just going into turn 11? It could well be that the pace of Farouz Fawzi now is, once again, as we saw in that sprint race, beginning to close down the race leader.
Perhaps. I think France is a little further.
Well, there it is.
There's
There was
France.
the France car. There's Malaysia behind it. It is the France car I saw going into turn 11. That gap is down to, I would say, under the 6 seconds it was 1 lap ago when they came through to complete what would have been their 26th lap.
Yeah, in fact, looking at the sectors, it's down to 5 seconds now, so he's gained a second on that last lap. And it did look as though the crew's getting ready for him to come in, doesn't it? So we'll see if he comes in this time.
Track conditions, I would say, are fractionally better than they've been in some parts of the track, and particularly here coming on to the start-finish straight. They're still pretty awful around the rest of the track, and there's Malaysia came in before France.
Yeah, so Malaysia, again, as they did early in the race, are going for the first opportunity to make their pit stop and into the Malaysia pits. Now, they had a little problem last time. It did cost him some time, and they've got to hope for a smooth wheel change on this occasion. Guys go to work. Crash helmets, by the way, that the pit crew are using are a design that a fan made. They had a competition to design the crash helmet designed for the colours for this year, and so some lucky fan got his chosen now. It looks like it's a pretty good stop.
Yeah, a little bit of a problem, I would say, in the left rear, but pretty much also getting him in and out. A reasonable pit stop, I think. Malaysia will be not too unhappy about it. They had a 6.5 second advantage over New Zealand, who have yet to make their second stop. And Australia in. And
Lebanon behind them as well. So 2 key teams coming into the pits for their second pit stop. Watch Australia. We know how quick they can be. Let's see if they can make it as fast with the new car. Oh, that looked good, John.
Yeah, that's going to consolidate that 5th place for John Martin, because the Lebanon car still, it's actually coming down the pit lane. But good pit stop from both teams. Lebanon should be pleased with that.
Lebanon's got ahead, though.
Where did that? Whose car was that? Further down the pit lane.
That was somebody else. Lebanon has just managed to ease ahead. Netherlands is in.
Another steering wheel change. And a bit of a visor wipe for Netherlands. So that Lebanon car was ahead of the Australia car in the pit lane, so that's given them the opportunity to get ahead. The car that was behind, what we thought was Lebanon, clearly wasn't.
That was a great stop by Lebanon then, and this time it's a smoother stop for Team Netherlands. So Jeroen Bleekemolen's on his way. France have stayed out, as they did on that first round of stops.
Continue to stay out as well. Another lap in the books on this second set of tyres. But France shortly going to get ready to make their pit stop.
Yeah, it looks like it might be next time around, doesn't it? Again, it's that flick into the first corner where he turns in hard. Now, take a look back at Australia. This was the battle. Oh, he had a problem getting going. Or was he simply allowed? No, I think he had a problem actually getting the thing up to speed, and they ended up going out side by side. Now, I'm sure that will be looked at.
Well, I think the Lebanon car was on what they call the racetrack on the left-hand side, and I think technically the car that's on the inside, we saw what happened in Mexico with Switzerland when they got caught by that and were penalised. but the advantage went to Lebanon, so I suspect that'll be let it go. The advantage to Lebanon will remain.
Now, New Zealand in from third place, effectively. Let's see how this one goes. Earl Bamber's doing an outstanding job for a young man, and he's on his way. Good stop from that crew.
Yes.
You just saw Malaysia turning into the first corner as New Zealand rejoins.
Well, Malaysia had a good pit stop. New Zealand have had a good pit stop. So really, as I mentioned before, I suspect it's going to be status quo. But watch. See, there's what happens on a brand new set of tyres. They aren't up to running temperature. Even though they've got those nice sharp edges that a new set of race tyres, wet tyre, the weather tyres have got, it is very easy to get caught out just simply because the temperature is not as high as the set that you've taken off.
Absolutely, and there's that very tricky river of water running at that section as well, which has caught out a few cars already here today, and so all of them have got to be a bit careful at that right-hander, Gerlach-Bocht, as they turn into it. France getting ready then for their pit stop, and it needs to be smooth. It doesn't need to be the fastest pit stop we've seen, but they've got a little bit of an advantage over Malaysia before these stops were made. But Malaysia, of course, will be pushing hard now to try and close that gap up. Is he in? Yes, he's cutting across, I think, in the gloom. Into the pit lane he comes.
It wasn't quite certain, but it was a very late cut, and he used the maximum he could coming off turn 16, and then came in at the last opportunity, got the speed down in the pit lane, running down 80 kilometers per hour, and pulls up. Nice clear entry, and probably equally clear. So the French team go to work, and there is the Malaysia car coming out of turn 13 into turn 14, and I would say the advantage has once again gone to France. They stayed out that little bit longer, and we now see what's happening in turn 15, and France have completed their work and on their way, and it's France will retain the lead.
Yep.
By even, I think, an extended margin.
Yeah, by the whole length at the start-finish straight, by the looks of things, because Malaysia's just coming out of the final corner.
The only issue for France is they've come out directly behind the Team USA entry. Now they're going to be, in effect, well, USA is actually showing now as running second. So, in fact, it may well be shown as leading the race. But good job from Team France. The guys are very happy indeed. But running behind the Team USA car, they have only a number of laps before USA will make a pit stop. But France will want to get ahead of USA as quickly as possible. Otherwise, he will lose his momentum, and consequently, that will allow Malaysia to catch up. You can see just how much he's fallen behind that USA car already. There's Malaysia coming along, what will be in effect in second place in a couple of laps' time.
Yeah, but they lost out there once again, Malaysia, because he was definitely, the gap was down to 5 seconds, wasn't it, if you remember, before they started making those pit stops, and the gap is a great deal bigger than that. This time around, it looks as though it's up to about 8 seconds, I would say. So that's something to
Team
watch
Australia
out for.
under investigation.
Right.
And that again is for that incident where we saw Lebanon and Australia leaving the pit lane side by side. Wait to see. I mean, I feel that there's no advantage or disadvantage to either team, and it'll be investigated. Hopefully, no action will be taken.
So Loic Duval, can he keep it together for the remaining 11 laps of this race to take a victory at the first event of this fourth season for Team France, the team that has won more individual races than any other in the history of A1GP. Winners, of course, in the first season of the entire series, and they've struggled to challenge for the title quite as effectively since that first year, but they still have more wins than any other nation. Across the line he comes. We'll get an idea on that gap. Malaysia just coming through the final corner. Australia there, Alan Jones. And of course he's talking about that pit, what happened in the pit lane. That's why they know they're under investigation. So they're discussing the situation and wondering how it's going to be dealt with by the stewards. Meanwhile, Lebanon and Australia are close to one another on track.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be sorted out on track unless the stewards get a hand in it, and they may decide to apportion blame, and a penalty could be awarded to Australia. Cars are not allowed to go out side by side. That precedent was established very clearly in Mexico last year with Switzerland.
So confirmation of that investigation going on. But Daniel Morad for Lebanon driving very good stuff at the moment. He's in 5th place, and after one or two little incidents, and he had that moment where he did a complete 360. He's brave though, isn't he? You know, even when he has a moment, it doesn't stop him pushing and driving hard.
Let's look again and see. There's the Lebanon car coming behind, and it's as if the Australia car sort of bogs down, and Australia tried to force the issue, but the momentum and the right in this issue clearly are on the side of Lebanon. And well, did he pinch? I think they might have had contact actually. It was very faint contact, so it might be because of that. Alan Jones he'll stand and argue his corner. Not very happy.
And
USA
off. Charlie Kimball is off. Oh, can you believe it? When it looked as though they were going to get a solid point-scoring result, they had left it late. And he just set a quick lap there. Previous lap was a good one, John, and he was going well, but those tyres obviously had a few more laps on them. He's shaking his head. He can't believe it.
It wasn't just a good one, it was the quickest one of the race.
Wow.
1:47, 1:16. Michael Andretti looks at the screen. He's seeing the pictures that you're seeing back at home. Charlie Kimball having just set the fastest race lap of anybody, and then throws it into the gravel trap, and it's all over for Team USA. What disappointment.
Oh, he can't believe it. You have to feel he's such a likeable young man, so enthusiastic. A man who was diagnosed with diabetes a couple of years ago, had to stop racing for a while, but got it all sorted out. He monitors his blood sugar levels. Even during the races he can monitor it. He's got an implant that allows him to do that, and so it's fully sorted. But what happened here? Let's take a look, John.
Yes, again, the same thing. That quick exit out of turn 7, and look at the speed of the car. I mean, very fortunate. That's a steeply cambered gravel trap, and that brought the car to a standstill. But again, that corner 7 catching out 3 drivers, 2 in big-time accidents for Michael Andretti and for Team USA. Little damage to the car, but damage to their pride. They thought they were clearly on for a good points haul here this afternoon in the feature race.
These conditions are extremely tough, but he'll be kicking himself for that one. It is turning into a timed race now, John, as you mentioned earlier. No way we can go the full 40 laps in these conditions, and the slower pace, and of course with safety car having been out there. So we now have just under 7 minutes plus a lap to remain in this race, and it's looking good for France with a 7-second advantage over Malaysia and maintaining a quick pace. New Zealand still running in a very strong third. And Lebanon in 4th, but Australia not far behind.
No, and there we go back to this battle, whether it actually is a battle in real terms, while the stewards investigate that incident at the exit of the pit lane between Australia and Lebanon. John Martin, he'll be in there racing. He knows he sees a car ahead of him. He will be advised to race that car as we go back to Clivio Piccioni or Monte Carlo there all the way down. Well, they're in 6th place. They've got points. First points, potential points for Monaco, another new entrant into A1GP and picking up points at the first event.
Absolutely right, yes they are, and indeed the cars that are a couple of laps down are also with a prospect of scoring points, and that means that China could score some points, and would you believe it, Korea could score a point here today because they're still running and they're in 10th position, and points pay down to 10th place in the feature race.
Well, races in these conditions are really what you describe as a punter's race. You take the wildest odds you can get on the most unlikely outcomes, and those are the under control and out of control. Oh,
it's Lebanon. Lebanon has hit China on the main straight, and it's taken both cars out. Would you imagine it?
That is a very heavy shunt for the Lebanese car, pretty much losing no speed at all and going into that tower wall at the end of the towers. That happened. There's the China car, Hu Pingtung. He was a passenger. We saw that happen to Lebanon in the sprint race, but this time, well, Daniel Murad's getting out of the car, but that was, we don't know what happened. We'll have to have a replay of that, but he looked like he lost virtually no speed whatsoever, and safety car for the second time today has been deployed.
What did he do?
Oh, and again, back end of the car, under braking, and the car's just, in fact, the impact's been, it was the way the car spun around after impact that looked more nasty. Again,
there's a puddle on the outside there too.
And that's what's caught out Murad. We saw and he just simply slammed into the damage to both cars. Very heavy indeed, and of course bouncing over the gravel trap. And that's a 60-mile-an-hour impact into the tower wall, and China taking out innocent party and all that. So once again, safety car has been deployed with just 4.5 minutes plus 1 lap of this race remaining.
And I'll tell you what threw us there in that replay was we saw Brazil, and that's because Brazil have joined into this race well through it.
I was thinking, is that the Brazil car? Can't be there, not in the race. But Brazil have joined in. They're 3 laps down. We haven't seen anything about it all during this event.
They're not 3 laps down, John. They're 32 laps down, I think, at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah, I'm looking at, yes. The interval, but 32 laps down. They're 32 laps down, 3 laps down in the Swiss car, which of course retired from the race way earlier.
Yeah, so Brazil have joined in the fun and games, and actually at this rate they might score some points. Monaco at the end of the pit lane under red light, because the safety car's out at the moment. They've come in presumably to make their second stop for tyre change, and now they're being held in a red light because we're under safety car.
Yeah, and he's going to have to sit there probably for the best part of 3 minutes while the safety car makes its way around there. Hu Pingtung And that was, I mean, he didn't even know what had happened. He just suddenly hit. When I called the Lebanon car in the sprint race an unguided missile, well, literally in the feature race, that's what it was. And there's not a straight corner remaining in that car. And bodywork damage, the nose, probably the rear wing, and goodness knows what damage done to the underbody of the car as well. So Lebanon, who promised so much the potential to get a good point score in the feature race, now going to go home with 0.
I don't know. They might get points out of this race still, because looking at the number of cars that have gone out of this race, I'm not sure that Lebanon might actually still end up scoring some points here today, despite now being out of the race.
Well, what a way to score your points.
Yeah.
What a way to score your points.
Standing by the side of the road. Well, let's wait and see what happens. But with under 3 minutes to go, plus a lap, you know, safety cars out there, I wonder if the race will even get under race conditions again.
I suspect that the race, in fact, I mean, the safety car is sitting in the pit lane waiting for the Lebanon car being craned away. Look at the damage to the side of the car, radiators and all the electronics that are attached to the side of the monocoque. So the safety car is actually sitting, waiting here for the lead car to come down. There's the lead car coming now. And once again, Monaco's going to have to wait until the entire chain of cars goes past before he'll be released.
Yeah, in fact, they picked up Korea. Well, they have to, really, because Korea are only just ahead of Team France, which is the race leader. There is the race leader, Loic Duval, who's driven superbly. I remember we were commentating on it, actually, John. I was just about to talk about Olivier Panis, because he took his one and only Grand Prix win in very wet conditions in Monaco. We were there that day. He, of course, is nowadays on the pit wall for A1 Team France, isn't he?
And he's actually got an active role. He's in first thing in the morning, and he's there until the end of the day. He's not sort of swanning in like ex-Grand Prix drivers are prone to do. He's actually got an active role and assisting with the driver. Truthfully, it's not that Loic Duval needs an awful lot of that, but when France decide to run their rookie, and that'll be Nicolas Prost, then the experience and expertise of Olivier Panis should give Nicolas Prost some more advantage.
Well, it was pretty wet that day at Monaco when he took a victory. Loic Duval has already had a win in A1GP. This isn't going to be his first, but I tell you what, it's been mighty impressive. But don't forget, if we were to go racing again, which I think is a bit unlikely, Malaysia are now going to be right on the tail of Team France. So I suppose we better wait and see with this one. Let's not count our chickens and all that, because if the race does restart, you might get a bit of a dice between France and Malaysia, with New Zealand up there in third. And once again, what can we say about this young man, El Baba? Just taking another look at this incident, it is frightening. He just loses the back end of the car. I'm sure it aquaplaned slightly.
Oh, and look, China's cars went backwards.
Yeah.
They'd almost got over, went car over the top, but it's the water standing. I mean, he hit the back of the China car in a spin, and again, when I say 60 miles an hour, maybe it was more than that. But the back of the China car slammed by Lebanon, I mean, just forced China all the way up. It's quite a deep gravel trap at the Tarzan hairpin.
So, oh dear, these guys are going to have an awful lot of work to do to get the cars back in one piece. They've worked so hard to get all these cars here this weekend.
Do you think anybody's brave enough to bring the safety car in as the time, it's almost under, well, it is under half a minute of this race remaining. So do you think the safety car would be brought in and let this last lap go back under green flag racing?
I don't know, we've seen it.
I'll tell you, North America,
yeah,
no doubt.
I was going to say, I've seen it many times in the States.
Absolutely, this is what the public come to see. This is what the television tune in. Jack Cunningham, seat holder for Malaysia, he's sitting there wondering maybe the same thing. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. So there's one lap of this race remaining. The lights are remaining on, but will they be switched off at the last moment and dive into the pits, or will this race be finished under a safety car?
They're going to come across the line now, and presumably it'll be one lap under safety car, because he's not come in, John. So presumably this race is going to therefore end under safety car. We've sort of just run out of time at the end to be able to give them a run to the checkered flag, and that means surely that Team France have taken victory here at the first feature race of season 4 under amazingly difficult conditions. Loic Duval has survived where many others have not, and I don't ever remember seeing him actually put a wheel wrong. He's been so impressive out there. Great drive also from Faraz Fawzi, sitting there in second place. These two really dominating certain parts of the race, and then in third place it's going to be Earl Bamber for New Zealand. John, you've just got to congratulate any guys who made it to the end. It was so tough out there today.
Well, there's been some outstanding driving, mainly at the front, and there's been some driving which has been, let's say, inexperienced on the part of those drivers. I mean, most difficult conditions, and because you've got changeable conditions in that one lap, you've got a track that's sort of half drivable, then you come round a lap further. I mean, I didn't see any of that standing water as you come onto the braking zone into the Tarzan hairpin. It caught out the Brazil car, and then just simply Lebanon and Daniel Marad charged down in. I mean, he is a charger. We know that. He got caught and then simply just swiped the rear of the China car. But this man, Loic Duval, has really been a star here this weekend. Only got the car on Saturday morning and has won the feature race.
Yeah, that is amazing. First time he drove the car was in qualifying, and he's managed to do it. Well, the safety car is coming in at the end of this lap, but the checkered flag will be displayed at the same time. So presumably that's it, all over effectively, unless they have a little drag race to the line. I suppose that's always possible. And certainly you could see Duval is not backing off yet. He's keeping his focus and his concentration.
No, he's absolutely right, because one little error we saw Adam Carroll did at the start of the sprint race by just being a little bit too eager on the throttle pedal, and that Faraz Fawzi is right on the gearbox. The remains of the field are being backed up by France. Loic Duval's going to wait until he gets out of turn 14, then he's going to take advantage of leading this pack, get on the throttle, get the drive. There it is. I mean, even I could work it out.
Yeah, great stuff from him. Oh, he's backed it off a bit again. He's backed it off a bit. He's not gone yet. We'll be careful doing that. Now he goes, and it's a drag race to the line for the victory here at Zandvoort in the feature race. He's absolutely flat out already through Harry Lyondike corner. Are we going to see any place changes on this final lap? Let's see as they come across the line. France wins in the wet at Zandvoort. The first feature race of season 4 taken by France. Second goes to Malaysia. New Zealand is third. Australia finishes fourth. The Netherlands takes fifth, and it's going to be Monaco who finish in sixth position, with Lebanon, I am sure, still taking their first points in A1GP despite being out of the race. But France have done it. They've taken the victory. Malaysia, though, are now leading the championship, courtesy of a win earlier on and second place in this one.
Well, I mean, a superb drive by Loic Duval. All you can say is that was a masterclass in driving in the rain. He showed us some of his techniques very clearly. He managed to steer clear of some of the very deep puddles, and that puddle at the end of the straight, I just saw it on the cars as they came through. It really is a deep puddle. Eric Boulet for France, he is so happy once again to be leading a team that really had a drought all the way through the third series until they won that race in Australia.
Yeah, that's right. It's the second win for Loic Duval. It's the 15th win for Team France. Let's get down to the pits and hear from the team.
Olivier, congratulations. Loic didn't get in the car until qualifying, and now a victory.
Yeah, well, I mean, we need to say really well done to him. I mean, on this condition, what he can do for all day long was fantastic. I mean, the team doing well because we just received the car yesterday morning, and he just did 6 laps yesterday. I think well done to the team, really, for the French team, and well done to Loic too, because he did really well.
You won a race in atrocious conditions in Monaco in 1998. It compares to this, doesn't it?
Well, for sure, when this condition is what hard, I mean, you see the very good driver, and I think Loic proved is quite really good today.
Thank you very much, Olivier.
It's worse outside of the car, he says.
Jean-Paul Drier there, the man behind the engineering side of things. Dominant drivers of that first season of A1GP in the French car, but it's Loic Duval who's managed to achieve something special here today, to win in absolutely atrocious conditions, bring the car home safely, ahead of Team Malaysia, New Zealand in third, and Australia. What a result for Australia too.
A winter of cricket on Sky Sports. In October, England faced the Stanford Superstars in the $20 million match, and Australia in India for a 4-test series. In November, England on tour in India, and Australia faced New Zealand. December, South Africa travelled to Australia. In February, another big challenge for England in the West Indies, and South Africa host Australia. Winter cricket starts with India v Australia Thursday morning at 5, Sky Sports 1.
No charges for cards abroad.
What are you doing?
Sorry?
Why don't you charge people for using the cards abroad?
Well, because we don't.
Oh, we're in the same game, you and me, hey?
We tell them it's like a tip.
It's like a tip.
A tip?
Yeah, well, you tip people on holiday, don't you?
How are you going to kid out your staff room without tips?
We don't take tips.
Oh, you want to say our staff room? It's like a billionaire Playboy yacht, only without the...
At Nationwide, we don't charge for using your cards abroad. Maybe that's why over 6 million people have their current account or credit cards with us.
Hundreds of amazing adventures to dining and shopping. No other holiday brings you closer. Book now at orlandoinfo.com/UK.
Celebrity journalist Sydney Young has a way with women.
Once I get my hooks into a girl, she never gets free.
Like ringworm.
The wrong way.
I would definitely vote for you for Best Supporting Dress.
Now, if he'd only follow her lead.
New York women don't go for losers.
They might make headlines of their own.
I don't feel very good.
Simon Pegg, Kirsten Dunst, and Jeff Bridges. How to lose friends and alienate people.
For lots of guys, hair loss can be a real worry.
Especially if you don't know where to get the help or advice you need.
But help is close at hand.
Just call Belgravia's Hair Loss Advice Line.
Or visit belgraviacentre.tv.
It's as simple as that.
The Belgravia Centre, specialising in nothing but hair loss and scalp care.
For every person, there's a Dell.
I am green today. I chirp with joy like a cricket song. I am.
Choose the Dell Inspiron 1525 that fits your style for just $369, including a free choice of colour. And see how Windows Vista Home Premium makes it easier and more entertaining to use your PC. Go online now at dell.co.uk/TV. Dell, yours is here.
Disney's amazing buy one, get one free DVD offer is here.
Yeah, man! You better believe it.
Buy any selected Disney DVD and get another absolutely free at Tesco.
For the rush, for the challenge, for the action, to help, to protect, to serve, for the places, for the people, for the laughs. With compassion, with courage, with confidence. As a unit, as a team, through it all, together.
Hear from soldiers about life in the army at armyjobs.mod.uk.
You were weak when I found you. Now your hatred has become your strength. Fulfill your destiny, my apprentice.
Welcome back. A1GP has its first race winners of the new season. The feature race belonging to France. And that man there, Loic Duval, very happy with his trusty steed. And a reminder that Malaysia, finishing second in the feature, took the sprint a little earlier as well. So, confirmation of the feature race result then. A top spot going to France and Loic Duval. Her first win since Sydney last season. Malaysia finishing in second, a 1-2 for them this weekend. New Zealand in third with Earl Bamber in the driving seat. 2 wins for him in his first race weekend of A1GP. Quite a feat for the New Zealander. Tony Jardine and Johnny Kane trying to keep up to date with all that was going on the track there. I suppose, Tony, what we must do is just congratulate those that finished.
And A1GP for making it through. The weather's thrown everything at them, all the technical delays and problems. It's happened. The first race against the odds and the weather that did everything it could. They finished, OK, with 7 cars and a lot of smashes along the way, but what excitement, what a kick-off.
Yeah, what high drama. 17 cars started race day. It was a reduced grid, of course. Just the 7 finished. Let's take a look at how it all ended up in the feature race. Just crash after crash after crash, Tony.
It was. I mean, that was China going off.
Yeah, and Ireland, unfortunately, a very poor weekend for Ireland. Really had high hopes for them. Again, Lebanon, Italy and South Africa. Just treacherous conditions. You could see the guys were really struggling out there.
How big a test of driver skill is this out here?
You can't really get conditions much worse than that, to be honest. The guys have no traction control, but what we've seen today is a lot of people losing the rear on braking, actually, which has caused most of the problems.
Yeah, and we saw Korea going off. This was Portugal going off as well. Albuquerque's had all these point finishes. He's the really hot kiddie from the second half of last season. So we're seeing a lot of broken chassis, broken suspension. Now this was just having set the fastest lap, Charlie Kimball from the USA, who only got the call up on Wednesday. This was the worst accident, of course. Murad for Lebanon losing it, going on the other side in the water and then taking out the other team as well. That was a big, big crash.
It was the last thing that this series needed, bearing in mind the fact that we know there's a limitation on car parts at the moment.
Yes, it certainly was the very last thing. Having said that, there is a little bit of a gap. They're going to still work very, very hard to get things ready in time for China. And that was the Chinese team there, and I think we saw at one point their car actually got airborne when it hit the gravel trap, and actually Murad went in head on. So you have to say, for URT Composites, the guys who built the car down in Bognor Regis, and obviously for John Travis as well, and all the people at Ferrari, that was the big crash test there on behalf of the FIA, the practical one. That was a huge, huge crash.
I was a little pessimistic when I said that only 7 finished today, because in fact it was the 9. So 9 out of the 17 that started did finish at race day. A tough introduction as well, Johnny, for the new teams involved in the series.
Yeah, certainly. I think this weekend there's been 2 teams. Well, certainly today's racing, there's 2 teams that really stood out, France and Malaysia. Both their guys pretty much a level above anybody else. Loic Duval started 11th in the first race and came all the way through to win the feature race, so a fantastic weekend.
Let's take a look at the 3 on the podium now, just collecting their awards. Has been a good weekend for Loic Duval, all in all. He's so consistent, isn't he, Tony, in this series?
He has been France's saviour. Last year, with his consistency and then getting the first win at Eastern Creek, which he did, he'd had so many podiums, all those second places and third places. The consistency, but he was knew he was very, very fast, but he was taken back to Japan to go back and do his Formula Nippon and his GT racing, and they missed him because they got other drivers in and they really didn't do the job. Frank Montagny, he was not particularly good.
An especially good 1-2 for Team Malaysia this weekend. Would you have thought coming into this race weekend that they would have been the shining light?
Well, they're a pretty strong team. They've won 4 races before, and Farouz has done a lot of racing in the UK and in Europe. So the weather conditions wouldn't necessarily suit a Malaysian, but he has done a lot of racing here, British F3, Formula Renault, and he's been pretty quick. He maybe didn't win races, but he's been very fast, and he proved his worth today.
And a brief word on New Zealand's Earl Bamber. Could he be the new star of the show?
I think he's been the most impressive of all of them, because he only won his Asia Pacific Formula BMW age 16. He's been doing the V6 with Renault at 18 years of age, and he comes on in these drastic conditions, really tested with the most powerful car he's ever driven, most sophisticated car, and he's got on the podium twice. That's a brilliant effort. So New Zealand must be rubbing their heads together. Colin Giltrap think, I've got my new hero.
A good start from A1GP despite the reduced grid. What we do know is that in 5 weeks' time in Chengdu there will be a full grid up and running. A1GP, the series is off and running, of course. There's more motorsport action coming your way tonight as well. The NASCAR Sprint Cup continues with the AMP 500 live from Talladega Superspeedway from 7 on Sky Sports Extra. The next of our A1GP action comes from China, qualifying 8th of November, 7 a.m. Sky Sports Extra, race day on the 9th, 6:30 under the red button. Now, if you're not washing your hair on Monday night, then treat yourself to a laugh or several. Tony Jardine somehow convinced me to be his rally wingman a few weeks back. I'm still ruining the decision, unsurprisingly.
Good luck. Last stage. Let's make it a good one.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, all right, done that.
I look terrified, don't I? World of Motorsport featuring Tony and I Monday 9 p.m. Sky Sports Extra. My thanks to Tony and to Johnny. 17 cars started, only 9 finished. It's been some start to the season. More sport, news and views at skysports.com.